Hello, everybody. Oh, let me try that one again. No. I don't know what's happening there. I'll. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's Broken World Chronicles. I hope you are all watching and enjoying and ready for some crazy shenanigans from our wonderful players. I'm glad to see that you are able to hear me, hopefully. I don't see any messages coming through saying that you can't. So, right, as you know, most of you will know anyway, we do the pre-game session planning and review type of thing. I see lots of people joining in there, and hello to everyone who has joined. All the familiar faces. I really do appreciate that. I truly do, and I hope to get to hang out with you at some point in the future, wherever you happen to be. You see and hear. Fantastic. Good. All right, so this episode is a very chaotic, crazy episode today. We don't know where it's going to go. I don't know where it's going to go. We have some plans, yes, obviously. Those plans are going to take us through. So if you are not aware, if this is the first time that you have watched one of these, this does contain not even spoilers, because you can't spoil something that you don't know is about to happen, but it contains my plans on what I will be doing with these crazy characters during the show. So this is what I'm going to plan to do during today's session. Now, I'm going to refer back here to our episode plan, which looks like this. Here it is, sitting behind me. Give me a second here. And this is the Revolution of Frelan, which is a very interesting plot space that was recommended by one of our Patreons. So before we go anywhere further, I do want to say this show is made possible by our Patreons, by World Anvil, and by Dungeon Fog. So if you're not a member of World Anvil, if you're not a member of Dungeon Fog, jump onto the Discord server and poke me, because we've got discounts for both of those services. One is the map making service. All the maps that feature in the show are made by Dungeon Fog, or made on Dungeon Fog by me, and we keep track of our world using World Anvil. So if you're not part of those two groups yet, let me know on Discord and we'll hook you up with a 10% discount. So there we go. Right, now, although I suspect most of you are already there, so this is the plan. Now, this was submitted by one of our Patreons. The world was submitted by one of the Patreons. And the world that was created was that there were these two gigantic empires, the human empire and the elvish empire, who had basically taken over the globe, very much, and described as Nazi and Russian troops, the Soviets and the Nazis, having had taken over the world. And that was pretty much the idea, and that there were these goblin rebels fighting against them, which I very much liked. So we've taken that and we've extrapolated and expanded it out into an adventure, which did not go according to plan. Now, the idea is that when you have the ability, as our characters do, to jump around and to change worlds, there are going to be times where, and this is the imperative of the situation. This is something that has to happen when you have time travel. You have to meet yourself. It's a fundamental law of time travel writing. And if you don't, it's going to be a problem, right? It is going to be a challenge. So it's going to be a missed opportunity, I think. Nonetheless, I decided that what they were going to do is they were going to get involved with the Goblin Rebels to blow up a train, which we had reskinned as an Arcanon, this magically towed train thing that moves from gate to gate and sort of hovers in between. It was going to effectively be like a train heist movie type of scenario. Get to the train, lay the explosives, overcome a challenge about laying the explosives, realize the explosives are about to be undone just as the train is about to arrive, and then blow up the train. That was all it was supposed to be. Here are the plans, where it's get to the train. The first tower that looks after the one side of the bridge is easy to get to. The second tower is protected by a camp. It's not there. Or it is there, I should say, and it's difficult for them to get through. So there are lots of things, there are lots of ways that we had planned this out. One of the things that I wanted to do, because it's all about meeting oneself, is of course to then have the characters meet themselves, but different versions. And so that's what I did. Feloria met, or has not yet met, but is assumed to be this individual called the Volstoy. The Volstoy, at the time, Feloria did not know who that was, but they were in a tricky situation. The goblins had arrested them, and rightly so. The goblins thought that they were operatives of the Nazar Empire and the Sav East Empire, the Empire of the Elves and the Empire of the Humans. And so they were arrested by the goblins. Goblins thought they could get some information out of them. The goblins didn't recognize who they were because they're just a small little cell in the middle of nowhere, and they didn't really have a lot of opportunity to do so. I wanted the adventure to move forward, but I also had to show that the elves were evil and that the goblins were the good guys. So the elves attacked the caves that the PCs were being held in, and as a result, the PCs escaped. And instead of joining the side of the goblins, which I thought they were going to do, they joined the side of the elves, and Feloria impersonated the Volstoy, because the elves immediately recognized her. She didn't realize the gravitas of the situation. The Volstoy is basically the field marshal of the entire Savist Empire. She is responsible for controlling all of the military forces within the Savist Empire. So she is going to be very well recognized by army members of the army that she is in control of. She didn't realize this, so she just kind of played along that she was the Volstoy. They've now got to the camp where they're going to start to realize their importance. I think she has started to realize her importance, but nonetheless, there is this distinct and definite issue that they are now faced in. They are now stuck in this camp surrounded by thousands of soldiers who all expect the Volstoy to do certain things now that she is here. They are currently taking a long rest. That gives us pause for thought. Now, last week I looked at some options that we had in terms of what do we do now that they're there. Do we go back to our Arcanon story? And the answer is yes, we do. But we have to look at how do we bring it back onto track. How do we get to the point where we go, right, so what can we do? So this is my plan for today's session, which kicks off in about 18 minutes. If you're here just for the session, it starts on the hour. The Arcanon, which I quite like as a train device, is definitely still going to be part of it. Whether they are going to be blowing it up or whether they're going to be on it, it doesn't matter. The goblins will still be trying to blow it up. The difference is that there's a subtle shift now that needs to happen. This Volstoy story needs to carry through. If it is discovered that Feloria is in actual fact an impersonator, what are the ramifications for that? Well, immediate ramifications would be that she would be arrested and maybe taken to the capital to be interrogated and to have the magic removed that makes her look and sound like her counterpart, whose actual name is Feloriat, not Feloria. That is the obvious maneuver. I can't have that happen, because if that happens, then the characters get dragged off to the center of this very evil empire, and the chances of escaping becomes less and less and less. They're not very high-level characters, so we have to bear that in mind. So one thing that I always try and maintain is that, yes, that is what is most likely to happen. That's what one would expect to happen. So how do we circumnavigate that? How do we prevent that from happening? I have the get-out-of-jail-free card in terms of the Goblin Rebels. And we established that there were some that were held up and holed up in a waterfall in the caves. They could escape and perhaps realize that Feloria has a potential power, because she's definitely not part of the Empire, because she's now been arrested by said Empire. So they're going to try and rescue her. Or more importantly, they're going to try and rescue Berg Montgomery. Now, Berg Montgomery was an NPC who was also submitted by our Patreons, and has been arrested and brought into camp. Berg Montgomery is a very important NPC in terms of the characters, and the reason why I say that is because Berg Montgomery knows things about the Clack Clack door that we want the PCs to know about. If the goblins are there to save him, and by accident end up saving the PCs, who can now join and work with the goblins, we're back into the Arcanon story, and it continues to work quite well. If the PCs don't try and do that, and there's a risk that they don't, and they have absolutely no reason why they have to either, it's their choice, they can go where they like. If they then they stay on the Arcanon, and then I've got to think about, okay, how do I now solve this? So here is Berg Montgomery's little write-up that was submitted by Pikmin Biomaster. And the write-up is a description of him. He's got mutton chops and a moustache, and he's a bit heavy, and he wears plain clothes and an apron. He's a scientist. And he's an entomologist, particularly. And he's quite proactive. He's very competent on the Clack door, but not on pretty much anything else. So for me, this is a character that I really wanted to add into the story because it helps. He desires to study the Clack door and is determined and to determine whether they can be exterminated or suppressed in some way, shape, or form. This is great because the PCs can get information from him, and he's absent-minded, he rambles, when he's excited he puts his foot in his own mouth, and all those kinds of wonderful things, which I tried to portray when they did meet him ever so briefly in the Goblin Caves. They're now going to have him come back, and I have the opportunity of throwing this information at them. So it's a nice little avenue. He works with the party. I have to say, I think the party should give all of the patrons a great big thank you, because so far all the NPCs that have been submitted, every single one of them so far, is always for the party, not against the party, which I think is quite sweet. We've got to help the party as much as we can. Right, so there are different options that we need to look at. Once they're back on the train, if they're with the goblins, that's great, everything is normal. If they have to get onto the train, because I need them to be on the Arcanon, if they're on the train, maybe they're interrogating Berg on the train. Maybe there is I think that's probably what's going to happen. But one never knows. One sort of has to see. So what I'm saying is I've got all my options available in terms of, okay, I can go this way, I can go that way, and really just sort of see where we're going, what we're doing, what the players are doing particularly. But there are some avenues and there's some options open. Now, there were some suggestions that came through last week during the review where people were discussing this exact fact and, how do you basically herd a bunch of cats? It's a very good question, and that's exactly what this entire show is about. I think that's what role-playing is about in general, is herding people and trying to get them to where they need to go. So, yes, it's going to be an interesting episode. What will not happen is I don't want the characters necessarily to have to jump prematurely. So I don't want that to happen. So I'm not going to take those stones away from them just yet. If they manage to get themselves arrested, then obviously they will lose access to their stones. What I also want to do is I want to make them aware that the stones are not special, they are available. And one of the options I do have is to say that they come from the caves. So I think that is a route that I can take, and I think I probably will do that, to be perfectly honest with you. Okay, there we are. If you have any questions about today's session for me, let me know now and I can answer them. If you don't, then that's great. Sit back, relax and enjoy. We've got a couple minutes to go before we get there. We'll take it from there. Hopefully everyone's got good quality video coming through and it's looking okay for everybody, I hope. Please forgive me if you're on YouTube. I just want to try this out and see what happens. If you're on Twitch, YouTube has a thing called playing ad. And it says, based on complex criteria, some of your viewers will see an ad. Keep on streaming. So I don't know how that works. I'm just curious. I'm absolutely curious because I have a button, so I want to press a button. So I pressed a button. It just stopped to show me an ad. Okay, so it showed you an ad. That's so weird. Well, at least one person got to see the ad. There we go. I don't know. It's not even one of my ads. I don't know. It's a button. I have buttons here in front of me, and I like to break things. So what does the button do? I don't know. Press it. Let's see. There we go. Right. I don't see any questions coming through. I'm busy bouncing to the different chat channels, so I can sort of see it more in real time than anywhere else. There's no buttons I can press here on Twitch, so there you go. can't Twitch button. I don't know what one would say about that. Anyway. All right, so yes, we will be starting shortly. 10 minutes as a matter of fact. I don't see any questions. I don't have anything much to say. If you do have ad blocker enabled, and I understand why you would, I certainly used to have it enabled for YouTube. Just a thought, if you disable it for YouTube and you're watching content creators like myself, it does certainly help in terms of generating an income for us. So it's just a thought. There is a question that's now come through from Grizzles on Twitch. Drakkenmore in this world they are currently in, how did they take care of them? Drakkenmore. For those of you that don't know, Braxia is the world setting, and Drakkenmore is a very, very, very horrific place where there is a council of vampires, 8 dark dukes that preside over Drakkenmore. And these dark dukes rule the land with horrific terror tactics. There are undead trees everywhere. It's a nasty place. So it's a good question, Grizzles, on how they got rid of Drakkenmore. There are things afoot which, if you watch the Adventures of the Windswift, which is my other game, tabletop role-playing game, it's not done live. It's pre-recorded and then released on Mondays. On this channel, as a matter of fact, an episode came out yesterday called Meet Daddy, where another group is actually just entering into Drakkenmore, which is probably what got you to ask that question in the first place. You will find that Drakkenmore is a little bit more complicated and a bit dangerous as well. So that is something to bear in mind. What did they do here in this particular world? I think the elves... Would it have been the elves? Yes. I think the elves of the Empire of Athane Vasul, I'm just busy looking at the map that I have on my wall, would have sailed across the Dogoras Ocean and just invaded Drakkenmore and just slaughtered them. Elves have got lots of magic. I don't think the vampires would have posed too much of a problem. So there we go. Terranatum asked the question, where do I get a template for creating a broken world dimension and NPC? Terranatum, we've opened this up to Patreons as a reward for supporting the show, simply because we want to pay Michael and Freddie and Kai for their time. They are all performers in their own right, and they do take time off to be part of the show. So if you are a Patreon, you get access to the templates for creating characters and dimensions. If you are a Patreon of How to Be a Great GM, you also have access to those templates and things, and they will have shipped, they did ship, I should say, at the end of January, where you would have got a template and an NPC sheet there. So just bear that in mind. That's where you get. So you are a Patreon. Did you not get the form, Terranatum? I will look into that. Oh, the Web Goblin will look into that. I would just be looking and going, I don't know why. I am confused. Confused and dazed. Yes. All right. So Terranatum. Let's. Pen has got this weird gel cap on the end of it. Right. Terranatum, Patreon, form, Broken World Chronicles. You have been added to the list of things that I have to check up and look upon and do. So there we go. Right. Any other questions? The druid was not so nice to the dukes. No, the druids cursed the area of Drakkenmore with undead trees, because the druids basically are allowed to feed off of the populations that live within their territory. It's a very complicated political situation. So the druids cursed the vampires. So things heat up in the Adventures of the Windswift quite significantly. And one of my ideas is to have our players here actually bump into the crew of the Windswift, but I'd have to look and see how timings will work in that way. It would be crazy, and I'm not sure if we have the time left to do that, as we have so many other things going on everywhere. So yes, there we are. Any other questions? I do see there's one here. Spooky Woo says, how do you go about setting up scenes in a session, like transitioning from one moment to another to progress the story? Well, Spooky Woo, I would say that, hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly, so I'm leaning because the text is behind my camera. Setting up scenes and things, there are many steps to doing this. If you head on over to How to Be a Great GM, there are many videos that I have done on plotting your adventures and the like. Basically, there are a couple templates that you can get. Let me see if I can bring it up quickly without breaking everything. I have templates. These are available from our website, www.greatgamemaster.com. You can download these free. They are there for you. But basically, you are looking for this form. Let me bring it up. It's behind me. This is the form that I use for plotting out my entire campaign. This is for another show that I'm doing, the Save or Dice channel, the Karos Stones. This was a plan that I had. It changed very significantly from this old image, but this helps you to plot out your campaign story. And then you would have another one which looks like this. Yep, here we go. This one, which is then how you break down your entire adventure. And here, if I can zoom in to a little bit, is Act 1. This is Scene 1, the intro goal, intro enemy, intro situation. Act 2, setup journey, first attempt, and the like, and then your false endings, depending on the type of story that you're doing. So these templates are all available on our website. Otherwise, you can find the book, as a matter of fact, that has been written. I wrote a book on this entire subject. It's called The Complete Guide to Creating Epic Campaigns. You can find the PDF on our website, or you can head on over to blurb.com, and you can pick up the book there. And yes, it will hopefully help you with that. Adrian, thank you so much for the donation. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. It is definitely appreciated. So thank you for that. Okay, right. That donation came through a long time ago. Wow, Restream seems to be really slow today. Anyway, so yeah, it's definitely worth getting if you are someone who wants to be a serious GM and you want an easy way to GM. I think anyway. I run all of my games on those templates. It just makes life so much easier. It really does. Any more questions? I'm just seeing there's some help in terms of the video stream being a little bit skippy. I'm fairly certain it's not coming from here, from this side. So just have a look and see what's going on there. Hopefully the stream will come right for you. If you are watching on Twitch, you can always catch up these episodes. They are on YouTube, which is GM RPG Sessions, Great GM RPG Sessions, the channel is called. You can find these shows all archived there because Twitch erases them after 2 weeks, I believe. So you can find them there. Right, we've got 2 minutes before we officially kick off. There's not much more I can talk about in terms of today's plan. Something very briefly, the players have all been very worried, and it's endearing to have that kind of problem where Kai is hoping that she's not dominating by playing Floria, as the central figure in the story, and Freddie and Flint are hoping that they are not dominating either, which is absolutely something that I don't want to say can happen. It's it won't happen. It's simply a case of this happens to be Floria's moment to shine. and now it's time to move forward and to explore Faloria's story. And once we're done with Faloria, I will move the focus over to Flint, and then I'll move it back to Freddy without a doubt, because it's just how one works. It's a balancing act that you kind of go through. So I've reassured them, do not panic, do not worry. It's not anyone stealing the limelight. I purposefully try and stop that from happening and give each character as much time as I can during the show. But sometimes one character is going to dominate over the other. And there it is. And Dolphus Collins says, what is on your DM cheat sheet? If you have some. Yeah, well, Adolphus, those cheat sheets are available on the website so that you can have a look. I have been looking here. This, let me bring this up for you. This is the cheat sheet. So, as you so put it, this is the cheat sheet. If you go to worldanvil.com, World Anvil is partnered with us. They took the templates, which we designed, and they incorporated into their World Anvil system. So you can, let me show you here. This is what the nuts and bolts of it looks like behind the scenes in terms of World Anvil, where we've literally got the adventure phase, as I've been talking about, and you can type it in and plot it out and add in all the bits and pieces that you want. And then once you're done with that, you can then have a look at a much better presented view, I suppose. So there we go. And for those of you that are just joining the stream, hello, thank you for joining. Welcome. If you are unaware, we do a half hour. Oops, there we go. Everyone's ready and waiting. We do a half hour beforehand review of what I'm planning on doing in the session. So you can watch the session, see what I had planned to do, and realize that I didn't get there. And then I do a half hour after the show where I talk about, well, yes, I didn't get there. How did I fix it? How did I try and change it? So there we are. All right, it's time for us to kick off. If you did not know this before, we don't engage with the chat whilst the show is happening. It's just simply too distracting. What we try and do is run for an hour, then we take a little bit of a break, and during that time we then engage with the chat, and then we carry on for another hour. So it's 2 hours of role playing with maybe a break in between. It really depends on the flow of the game. Sometimes we just go for the full 2 hours and then we join and rejoin the chat later on. But there are several people in the chat who I know are big allies of our channel. If you have any thoughts, questions and things, please let it know. Put them in there, ask your questions. And if people have the opportunity to then talk about them later on, that's great. All right, let's do our thing. And so I will catch you all on the flip side of the hour or the show. Until that happens, here we go. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Broken World Chronicles. I am joined by a miniature Flint, a giant Faloria, and a semi-transparent monk, it would seem. Hello.
Oh God!
Wake up! Wake up! Wake up!
Wake up! You're
Is it too
alive.
bright?
No, I have just got to do some shenanigans here quickly before we kick off.
Sakes. Did I turn off the lights before, or should I have done it again?
No. It's all good. Don't you stress at all, sir. Don't you stress.
I always.
Hi, everybody.
But it's okay.
Yeah, while I'm fiddling around, everyone say hello to everyone and just give us a brief recap of your characters. Let's start with Michael.
Howdy, everyone. My name is Michael, and I play Flint, the Ironborn gunslinger from a rather Wild West-inspired version of Braxia, where things had gone horribly wrong. When this whole adventure and mess started, I was running for my life from another Ironborn before jumping into a big portal of fire. Next thing I know, I'm caught up in this here whirlwind of mystery and intrigue with fellas dressed like they're out of a Renaissance fair. I haven't quite figured out exactly what it is I'm doing or where it is I'm going, but these two fellas here seem like good company, so I'm going to stick with them until at least I figure out what the hell I'm doing.
Kai.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kai, and I'm playing Feloria. Feloria is a bard elf who came from the forests and buried by the edge of the main city in the Elven Lands. She was on a boat, actually on a mission, when she fell off the boat after finding out there was sabotage and plummeting into the ocean and through a rift and dropping out in front of Flint, who she's still not entirely sure how he functions and what he is, and a young little boy. This one.
I am not little.
You're so cute.
Stop.
boy. You're so cute.
Yeah, you guys are gonna die. You're gonna wake up and find yourselves being skinned by Warren one night.
By the angry chat.
Yeah.
They're being too cute. Kill them off.
I'm trying to purify them of their sins. This is the only way.
Son, I think you need a bigger cheese grater for me.
I just got to take off your armor.
Yeah, all the way down. Oh dear. Freddie, give us an
Holy
introduction
oil! Throw holy oil on him.
Hi, my name is Warren, and I've been. No, it's okay. Hi, I'm a 15-year-old boy, known as Warren. I'm a paladin / warlock, the celestial warlock. Very excited about that multi-class, just because it's just different. It's gonna have like a lot of like utilities / bit of a tank thing. So I don't know where it's gonna go. But he is trying to find his mother and sister after being sheltered by dragon tails known as Delu, his celestial deity. And then kind of popping out of nowhere with this after like it seems like a test or a kind of quest that the dragon sent him on to find these two people, strange mother and father figures, as they tell him, "You gotta come with us and go this way." Well, he goes, "Huh, I hope you survive." And I just follow what they say. But other than that, I'm just trying to follow by what's right. And that doesn't always mean that the law is right. It's what makes people laugh and joyful and filled with happiness. That is Warren's duty as a young little shonen protagonist boy of his manga.
Well, there
Okay,
you go.
guy, do the magic.
There you go. As a matter of fact, we need to do a recap of what happened last week. So I'm going to roll Dice of Destiny, a D4 here, and just see what's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
It's number 2.
Dice
That
of
is you, Feloria. You are number 2 in the rankings. And that means from left to right, you are number 2. So just give us a brief recap of what happened last week, if you please.
So last week we plummeted into this new world. It was like a lovely forest where I grew up in, and then we were surrounded by goblins, taken hostage, and put into a cavern. But they seemed very scared of alerting something in the forest. Unknowns to what it is, I tried to set it off in case it was potential allies, and they did arrive, which was in the form of drows that were run by the elves. Do I keep going, or does someone else take it over?
No,
Nope,
you
going.
bring us up, but you can keep it short. Just give us the bullet points so we know where we
Okay,
are.
so finding out that they were bowing to me, I figured it was some sort of, they were bowing to the elves, but I found out I was actually my character in this world. This version of me was some sort of lord. So I started commanding that this human who knew something about the Cleflac door be brought to me later. We brought to the main city, and she's been trying to pretend to be this version of herself to keep us all alive.
That's it. That's pretty accurate as to where we are. Just before we left off, you guys were going to have a long rest, which you managed to achieve.
Thank God.
Several goblins had been brought into camp. Yes, and you had witnessed, Flint, if you recall, 3 pits being dug directly in front of the tent that you had been assigned as your quarters. So that is where we find ourselves. Are you doing anything that night, Warren and Flint? Because Feloria was napping, I believe.
I would like a long rest, but I have no idea how to do that on the character.
I do it for you. Don't worry. There we go.
Did you?
all had a long
Oh,
rest.
hooray!
Bingo.
I have had long rest. Yay! Okay.
I'm consistently trying to pray then.
You're trying to pray to Delu, yeah?
Flint, as obviously an Ironborn, doesn't really require sleep in the traditional sense. Instead, he simply stands motionless while he recharges, as it were. So, in order to try and make sure that people don't sort of sneak in, Flint is going to place himself at just across from the entrance to the pavilion that we're resting in, with his hand forward pointing with a scowl on his face, and that's where he sort of freezes and has his rest.
If you sleep like that, you'll wake up in the morning and your face will be stuck like that for the rest of your life, young man. In your case, thankfully not. It's servos. So yes, that's what you're doing. You're praying, Warren. Warren, would you give me a percentile die roll, if you please?
You got it. Oh, found it. Gotti. Just praying for guidance. He's really lost.
58. There is silence as you pray to delude desperation. Flora, are you doing anything quickly before Michael's hand falls off?
Before I go, because elves have their long rest is actually 4 hours of meditation. I would go to probably the guards outside the door and tell them if they can send word to Virion and bring him to me by any means possible. Magic circles, anything. You get him here. You get him here now.
There is definite nodding, and they will make that happen.
Okay, and then I'll tell them not to disturb us until 8 hours are done so we can actually have our rest, and then I'm going to have a sleep.
Right.
Because I'm tired. And I'm going to try out my new clothes.
Yes, indeed. Your new clothes. Warren, you finished praying, you sleeping as well, I assume?
Yeah, except I'm going to take out a little journal, and I'm going to write in... just gonna write in my notes about what happened over the past day, I guess, because a lot happened today, even though we reversed back in that same day, and then we're back in another day, but it's still the one day. A lot has happened.
Right.
Then I go to sleep.
And you sleep. Although, Flora, you do only need 4 hours of sleep, there is still 4 hours of resting. So, non-active work, as they say. So it's 6-1. You
don't watch me while I pray. It's weird.
Nonetheless, the sun rises the following morning to the comforting sounds of an individual moaning softly outside in slight pain. Your internal clock, Flint, ticks over. Your battery is charged.
Nothing like standing up glaring at people to give you a good night rest.
You said you were looking at the tent. You realized what those 3 pits were for. They were to erect 3 very large crucifixes into the pit so that the crucifixes stood upright, and attached to those crucifixes are 2 goblins, one on each crucifix, and in the middle one is that funny old man that you saw in the goblin caves. He is
Berg, was it?
Moaning and groaning, correct. Yeah.
I'll rouse the others if
Sure.
if they aren't awake yet, and tell them, all right, well, I hope you guys got your beauty sleep, because things are going to get pretty ugly from here on in. Seems like a couple of those goblins from the cave got nabbed by these elves. They're propped out outside.
5 more minutes.
Is there still bath water in the bath?
I still
I'm
have...
afraid it's all been cleared away. The slaves have been very efficient.
Yeah, there's no bath water.
But there is a pitcher of water
here?
on a counter nearby. Absolutely.
Oh, okay. I'll sort of grab it, and I'll just sort of drip it on his face. Just a few drops at first. The whole thing's going over.
We're under attack.
There are 4 slaves standing impassively in the 4 corners of the bedroom, quietly waiting. They are holding, it looks like, linens and armor at the ready.
I would look at Warren like, time to get dressed. We have work to do.
Also seems like that. I was gonna say, also seems like that Berg fellow is also out there with those goblins as well.
We'll deal with that immediately. But we better look the part.
Take it less for now. Okay, let me just double check this because I'm gonna cast comprehend languages. So I believe that lasts for an hour. Is that right? Yes.
I believe
Um,
so.
Yep. So I'm gonna do that just in case we run into some folks that are speaking some Hebrew gibberish.
Gibberish.
You mean Elvish?
Yes, I
No,
do.
it's all Hebrew gibberish.
It's all.
I'm so proud he's learning my language.
See,
Yes, it lasts for an hour.
why older Warren's gonna talk just like that.
Yeah, that's an
All
old
right.
one.
It's an old Warren. Yes, you take the linens from the slaves. The slaves look uncertain and awkward. Several of them have clustered around you, Feloria. It looks as if they want to dress you rather than let you dress yourself.
I will let them, because I'm assuming this is what used to happen in my lands to the nobles. Because
Yep.
I was never one of them, but I've heard the story, so I'm just gonna be like,
Just stand.
pick me.
And
I don't
that's exactly what they start doing. They start to dress you. There's fairly intricate layering going on, and you realize why there's 4 of them. They put on a heavy leather. Well, firstly, there's light cottons and things as undergarments, and it gets progressively heavier with then gambeson, and then there's the breastplate, which looks fairly new. It's definitely very shiny. There's some greaves, and then finally there is this helmet, and the helmet is the very, very elvish in design. So it has these very long forward cheek plates that stick out in the front to create this very almost skull-like visage. But the top of it, there is a crest. Yours is this brilliant black and white woven hair crest, but the base of the bronze on the helmet, which holds the crest in, has this carving of this very buxom elvish female with a sword pointed directly forward in one hand, and in the other this very large shield. So it's incredibly ornate. Again, though, it looks like it's been really, really, really quickly manufactured, because it's not brilliant. I mean, there's not fine detail.
We have a new
on the whole
general,
thing. So,
a leader
yes.
amongst goblins.
Do I have to add anything like my AC or anything to this? Because I'm wearing a lot.
Yes, this is basically counting as a breastplate. So your armor class goes to armor class. It gets armor
Whoa,
class plus
you look
5.
like a bird.
I'm so scared.
That's right.
So
That's
I'm
it.
trying to find it so I can drop it on my character, unless
Gotcha.
you can find it on my character.
Breastplate. It's in the equipment lists there somewhere, but it's not particularly critical
Plates?
at the moment.
As Warren says that Feloria looks like a bird, Flint says that's a terrible thing to
Found
say
it.
to a lady.
Why? Birds are pretty.
What?
Birds are
What?
pretty.
Those large, wrinkled skinned things with like 3 heads and weeping pus coming out of their eyes? That's
No, that sounds like a mutated vulture. What I'm talking about, it's like blue jays and canaries. There are peacocks. There are peacocks. There's also eagles. They fly over our houses most often. Like caca and rainbow colors.
Warren, we've just walked through a large portal to a realm of weirdness and wonder, and I got to tell you, I didn't understand a word you just said.
You should come to my place sometime. Well, I have to
I'm
ask
not
your
sure
mom.
if I added on or not. Did it work, guy?
Has your armor class improved?
I can't see it on the sheet.
Your armor class is 15, so unless your armor class was a base of 10, no, it has not worked.
Okay, well, I have it in my inventory. I just don't have to actually equip it.
Oh, all right. Equip.
Yeah, I have to ask mom first, though.
Okay, there it is.
But that-
Okay.
Click
Find
on the
her
little
first.
bag.
So,
So now your armor class is 18.
Yay!
There you go.
Whoa, you're my armor class.
Oh, I'm so badass.
We're
Yeah.
tank bros.
There is
Except you're a girl. Tank bros.
there's a polite cough at the front of the tent.
Oh, bless you.
Turn
All
to
right,
face.
I'll walk forward and open the door.
Well, it's tense.
Or open the tent.
Right. There's a bowing from the large camp administrator general, if you like. What an honor to see you dressed in our humble offering, Volstoy. It pleases us that you have accepted it. We labored throughout the night to ensure that it appropriated your actual armor. We weren't sure of the protocols involved. Does it suit you?
It'll do for now. What news do you have of Virion?
We have dispatched a request for him to be brought to us. It will take some time, however, Volstoy.
Use any means possible to get him here faster.
We have communicated that with head office, yes.
Wonderful. That human. I want him
Yes.
in my chambers. I need to speak with him. Bring him down and bring him to me.
Was found in the Goblin Caves. He is obviously a sympathizer. We will
I
have him
understand
brought.
that, but he has plans, and I want him.
Of course.
I'm not asking.
You have no need to ask. It is as requested, so is done. He turns and sort of nods to elves, go up to Berg and sort of slash at the bonds on his arms. He drops badly down onto the ground. They just pick him up and drag him up the steps to your tented area, and then drag him into the tent. And you can hear them rumbling. They drag him past you, Warren, and past you, Flint. He looks between one very swollen eye and one sort of rather badly cut eye. He does look up as he's being dragged past you, Flint. Oh, it's you. Oh, that's unusual. Didn't expect to see you here. Why are you here? How did you manage to convince...
Quiet. The lady will have questions for you in a moment.
I suppose so. Well, questions are absolutely understandable. Not sure what I can do, really, to help, but let's see.
Silence him, please, Warren.
Is that what Flint does? Flint laughs?
I feel like sorry, I the player laughed because I saw like my eyes and Kai's eyes at the same time when he just went wham, just went.
I didn't mean like that. I didn't mean like that. No. I will just look to Flint like, I want you to restrain him. Everyone else may leave. Get out.
Like, this is like my actual face. I'm like, I really didn't want to hit him.
Flint will walk behind Berg, grab him by the collar and the belt, and then just use his mass to sort of march him into the tent.
He offers no resistance at all. Yes, Warren.
I'm gonna. So sorry. So that kind of like more portly, and was he a high elf? Is that right?
Human.
Oh, he's a human.
Yeah, Berg was a human. He was working with the goblins, which is
No,
why
I mean the other guy. Like the other guy who was kind of like bowing. He's like, "Oh, mistress," and all that kind of stuff.
The general of the camp. Yeah, he's Elvis.
Sorry,
yes.
Elvis. Okay, I'm gonna actually speak in his language in Elven, and just be like, be sure to give us privacy. I do not want anyone to be near this tent entrance. The lady will have plenty of questions for him, and there are too many eyes and ears already listening on this campus.
You don't need to tell me how to do my job, human.
I will tell you, because I am her guard, and I know best for her.
He fails to hide it. He tried. He rolled one. You can see that he's looking at you going, yes, we all know what you do for the Volstoy. Yes, you're her guard against getting cold at night. As he sort of...
I pull the hammer out just a little bit and just kind of like, I'll be sure that she's well protected.
We will
from any
double the
adversary.
guard. He then looks, is that all?
That will be all unless Virion arrives. Then you are to bring him immediately to me.
We are some distance from Lord Varian. It is expected that he will arrive within the week. If you wish to get to him sooner, we can take the Arcanon to the port city where he will be arriving, Volstoy.
Is that all we have at our disposal at this location? Do we not have any magic circles or anything else, any type of magic that would bring him here faster?
The Arcanon will be our fastest means of getting to the port city. We are at the front lines here in the middle of Goblin territories.
Then do so.
I shall instruct it to arrive to collect you. It will most likely arrive this afternoon. Volstoy.
To collect me or to collect him?
My apologies. I thought you would travel with him to the. I thought you would travel to the port city to meet him earlier. If you
No,
wish
I
to
thought you were
wait
just.
for it to bring him here, then he will most likely be here in 3 days.
Very well.
As you wish, Volstoy.
Crap.
You close the tent flaps, just the three of you and this beaten up old man.
And all the slaves are gone?
They are still all standing there, but the soldiers are all gone.
I'm going to look at the slaves and I'm like, get out.
They all disappear.
Flint will look over to Warren once the slaves are gone and basically say, "What's the matter with you? Why are you hitting this old man? You treat his wounds right now."
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I was
Yeah. I've heard it all. And you also
Slaves.
Warren, you need to stop. You need to stop winding up that guy with the cat funny hat, right?
I don't know. I just thought I was being the big bad guard.
Yep.
This is my dad.
Very Clint. Warren, you did a great job.
My dad would that's what he would do when he would want me to shut up. He would just go wham, like that's the only way that, to get the things done. So I just thought I gotta do what the big man would do. So that's all I did. I'm sorry, sir. And I'll give him a point of, from lay on hands. I'll give him 1 point.
he sort of rouses a little bit.
Sorry.
We'll pull him to the back where the washroom is, because you said that's the furthest away from all prying ears.
I'll grab him a chair so he can sit down, because I imagine he's been strung up on the crucifix all night.
He has been.
And Here, take a seat,
Sits
Berg.
heavily. I should let you know I'm not going to say anything. Regardless, his hands are tight. Regardless of what you do to me, you should know you're wasting your time.
Berg, I think we're friends here, actually. You know something
is that
about
what we are?
the-
I see, yes. Well, I suppose friends.
Berg.
Remind me to invite you over
What
for
do you
tea
know about the
sometime,
rifts?
and I can return the favor.
Okay, that wasn't me, that was them, and this isn't me, the costume and everything. This isn't me. What do you know about the rifts and
Very
rifters?
Smart. Yes, very smart. If you think that sort of deception is going to work on me, I'm afraid you are completely mistaken.
I'll hold up some of the stones. Do you know what these are?
Give me an insight check.
Hiya!
Sorry, Flint and Warren, you guys can give me insight as well. You're both standing.
okay.
I guess I did so poorly.
Okay.
Well, apparently Warren is on target. Flint and Floria, you two are convinced that the reaction was that he did not know who they were. Warren, you're going to leave him hanging? You're going to leave Michael hanging? Really?
Come on,
Seriously?
Floria.
Yep, you're going to be left hanging.
I had no idea.
Take a while.
Warren, you are the only one who sees that there is a slight dilation of his pupils when he sees those stones. You think he knows what they are. His response to you, however, which Floria, you and Flint totally believe, is, "I have no idea what those are."
I think the best way is we're going to have to just be honest and tell the truth. Look,
Well, that
My
could
name's
be something that the empires have
Her
done.
name- her name's Valoria, and his name is Flint. And he keeps his armor on all the time, and I don't know why. But we are from a different dimension. There is another person that looks exactly like her. And she's the one that you don't like, or is doing these horrible things. And
I'm trying to-
feel for the goblins and for the centaurs and all of these other people that are maybe being attacked. But we are honestly here to help. But we also need help ourselves because we don't have enough information. We are rippers, and we come from different dimensions, and we like ripped through a portal, and that's just how we got here. We could do what we can, but it's literally us four versus an entire empire. Please, we need your help, and we'll try to help you as best we can. Maybe we can all escape from here. I'm not really big and mean. I only pretend to be when I need to, and I'm still sorry about your face because you're my elder and I shouldn't be hitting you.
Give me a persuasion check with advantage after that impassioned speech.
Good job, Warren.
Okay.
Oh no!
If you
Buddy!
think that I'm going to fall for any of this, you're wasting your breath. We all know that the Tolstoy has been trying to jump through dimensions since they first appeared. I will not help you in the slightest. As a matter of fact, I hope you all burn to death in a horrid fire whilst your loved ones watch you.
I hope you and your friends
My loved ones already
Would imply
has died.
that you actually have loved ones to begin with, which I imagine your black hearts do not have.
What do you know about the Volstoy?
Oh, sorry. Just as sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but as he gets through that impassioned speech, it's clear that we need to convince this person that we're obviously different people. So what Flint is going to do at this point is he's going to walk outside and just without even breaking pace, go behind the two goblins that are strung up. He will basically untie them, grabbing them by their...
Watching, yeah.
And he will almost forcefully, like as though he is like sort of dragging them like by the nape of their neck, drag them into the tent.
Okay.
I was just going to show him the book I have, but okay.
You drag them into the tent. The old man looks over. Oh, Pongo, I'm sorry. I will not be moved. You may.
I'm going to take out the book and hand it to him, like, look at this and tell me if any of this makes sense to you. I'm going to open specifically the page that has the symbols on it.
That page no longer has symbols on it. It's now just crazy nonsense.
Ooh.
Okay. Oh, and real fast, big. I will tell you one thing. He definitely knows that we're rippers. He knows.
Rifters?
Shifters.
Shifters. We all have the wrong name.
That one. Yeah.
I'll release the two goblins and again offer them seats.
The two goblins, cautiously rubbing their wrists, take the seats.
Now, listen, there's a whole world of mess that's gone wrong here. But let's say, for example, that we happen to be these evil folk that y'all think we are. Well, by that logic means that no matter what you say, we're going to turn around and we're going to have to kill you.
That's correct.
On the other hand, if we happen to be these shifters, these other people from other realms, and we have no idea what we're stepping into, and surely the information that you can provide us, being, of course, stuff that if we are these evil people, we'd already know, you'd have no problem sharing that information with us. Because best case scenario, we are in fact from another place. And that means what I've just done is I've just set all three of you free.
We're in the middle of a camp with 1,000 soldiers around us. I'd hardly call that free. And besides, you have one flaw to your statement. You will have to be a lot smarter than that to defeat Berg Montgomery, I'm afraid. I know you don't know anything about the shifters, and that's why you've been trying to find me. So,
no, we fell through.
Worst case scenario, I give you the information you've been looking for the past 5 years. Best case scenario, I get a quick death. But considering
Bird.
the nature of the individuals in front of me, I assume that you will make it long and protected. I am
We
ready.
know enough how to get through them portals. You put down 6, and you put them down a certain way to open up a portal to go somewhere else. We found that out only recently because we are new travelers to the realm. I fell through a rift and ended up with Flint and Warren, but I met old Warren, and we're meant to go on this journey together. And I know that the clack clack door, as they call themselves, can speak telepathically. We know that there is something in the swamp, the gas, or even like the fumes of fire seems to bother them. We know this information already, where the others seem to be ignorant of it. We don't know nothing. We're just not the people you think. There's a version of me here that is the one that is from here. I'm trying to pretend to be her so we can get out of here alive, including you, because you might have a way to just defeat the clack clack door, which are coming.
You know about the clack clack door?
Yes, because we fought them. I got one shot by one of them. If it wasn't for Warren, I'd be dead.
It was really scary. Big bug-like creatures, and they bleed out this like green pudding or something, and then I had to smash it down. I felt bad about it, but we had to do it because they don't want to talk to us.
And there's some that are size of people, and there's others the size of buildings.
Yeah.
You've seen one of the siege?
Seen it.
So you know what they are.
I was close enough to kiss the damn thing.
Yeah, we had to run from it.
Means, if you have this information but no one else in this entire world does, that means you're a shifter too, doesn't it?
No, not just a good impersonator. I'm pretty sharp too.
I'm not a... I guess I'm impersonating myself.
Look, take the compliment. Take the compliment, Laura. Just take the compliment.
He sort of relaxes a little bit. The one goblin named Pongo looks over and says, "Don't tell them anything. They've probably got a mind thing on you. You're not wearing your protective underwear."
That stuff doesn't work, and whoever told you that should be put down because that's a sin.
Well, I mean, I want to put them down. I would just tell them that that's not right.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
whoever it was lied to you.
Well, I mean, all things considered, it has actually not failed yet. So, I mean,
that's just because I'm not very good at my spells.
Is there any food like fruit or?
Oh yes, there's a full breakfast sitting quietly in the main chamber.
I'll bring it over to the goblins and Berg as well. And I said, well, it seems as though we have a bit of an understanding. How about we talk?
Well, I don't know how much time, honestly, you guys, that we have. In fact, there is one question that's been on my mind. Do you know how many other goblins have been captured? How many are alive?
Berg looks over to Pongo. Pongo looks sort of defiantly at you for a moment. Oh, go on, Pongo. You might as well. They're clearly not part of the... Have you ever met a Nazarite who speaks the way that this kid does? No, he's not Empire.
Is Nazarite a word for human, or is a Nazarite like a type of clan? We're trying
to... Empire is a human empire that spans almost 40% of Brexit.
Okay.
Oh.
Powerful. Very powerful.
What's the elven one called? Because I'm trying to keep us alive by pretending to be a Volstoy, but I have no idea what I'm doing.
You understand the Volstoy is basically the field marshal in charge of all of the Savist Empire's armies, of which there are 12 currently, all distributed across Brexia.
So there's 12 Volstoys.
No, there's one Volstoy, 12 armies. You are responsible
I'm
for
not...
all 12. The only person more powerful in the Empire than the Volstoy is the actual Empress.
Oh, we're so screwed, guys.
Nonetheless, Pongo, tell the boy what he wants to do. Right. Well, to be perfectly honest with you, the cave situation was a trap. We worked quite well, as a matter of fact. The three of yous, however, came in and caused a little bit of a problem for us because, well, we weren't entirely sure where you were from, and obviously we all thought that you were just infiltrators from the Nazarites and the Southeast Empire, obviously, and then whatever you are. Well, yeah, sure, right, kid, but, you can't believe anything everyone says around here, nonetheless. So the trap worked quite well. Unfortunately, we lost 6 good goblins. That was seen as acceptable losses in comparison to the tech and the information that we gained. Let's just say that it's pretty good that you're not the actual Volstoi, because in 3 days' time, there won't be a Volstoi anymore if our plans go to fruition.
Oh.
Yes, well, that's
I don't take any offense to it. My Volstoy version of me sounds like a real mean lady.
That's right.
She is.
We have to help you.
We call them bugbear armpits. Sounds like a bugbear's armpit.
What's a bugbear? Is
It's
that like a bear with a bug?
No. Yeah, it's like a bear with like 6 arms and a head, like with millions of eyes, and this little thing on its face that spits acid.
And you think my
Okay.
birds are weird?
It's a bugbear.
Nonetheless, none of that is important. It's all trivial in the grand scheme of things.
How did you get trapped here, Berg? Because if you're a shifter, why didn't you just shift away?
Oh, well, there are some things that even I cannot be as cold-hearted as I would like to be, or possibly need to be, given the situation that we find ourselves in. I've decided that I was going to try and help these goblins, but now that you are here, things have changed. We can do all sorts of things. I have been researching the Clack Clack Door for roughly 30 years now, since they invaded my world.
30 years?
Yes.
Oh.
I believe, anyway, in my travels, we were one of the first to get attacked by them. And we were one of the first to completely succumb to them as well. I haven't been back to my homeworld, but from what I have heard from other shifters that I have met, there isn't anything left. It is completely and utterly barren.
Where do they come from?
That is the eternal question that I do not yet have the answers to, I am afraid. No.
Well, the way I think of it is they're either the cause of the shifts or they're a symptom of the rifts.
I believe that the rifts have nothing to do with them. The rifts seem to have slowed them down. But what I can tell you is that they seem to either ignore the rifts or they use them far more efficiently than we do. There is a singular purpose that I have seen being enacted by Clack Clack Door on at least a dozen worlds. Coincidence does not allow for that to happen. The same intentions, the same machinations being enacted. It strikes me that there is an individual or individuals who are collectively operating the Clack Clack Door across all of the rifts that they happen to be in.
So they're able to talk through the different dimensions, you're saying?
That's what I suspect. This is all obviously just theory at the moment, but from what I gather, yes, that implies 2 very important things. The stones, the rough stones that you talk of, they, luckily, are actually fairly commonplace. You'll find them in most markets. It's obsidian, precisely a stone in weight of a few ounces. It must be pure obsidian and not something like schist or any of the derivatives, but you can pick them up fairly commonly. It's the arrangement of the stones that causes a portal to open. It consumes the stones, obviously, in terms of keeping them open.
Yes.
Lore?
Yeah.
So that guy said you could meet Varian along the way.
Yeah.
Because we gotta leave this camp. What if we said, or you said that you changed your mind And we have to take these guys like prisoners, and only Virion would understand how to
We
get
could say it's a
into
threat
the
upon the Empress's life and that you might have information
Yeah.
possibly. Would that be all right with you, Berg and Pongo? And I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. I'll talk to the last goblin.
The little goblin sort of snivels and sucks up this great big globule of mucus within his fairly large proboscis of a nose. And he sort of mutters something along. You think his name is Slimy? You're not entirely sure, but he sort of mumbles.
Dobby.
Pongo looks at the three of you. You really don't want to be anywhere near. Wherever you take us, it doesn't matter. Just Berg, are we helping these three now? Is that what we're doing?
We're trying to help each other because if you didn't notice, you're middle of an elven camp that wants you dead, and we're trying our damnedest to figure out how to get you out alive.
Yeah, well,
you help us, we help you. It's
sure thing. Whatever you do, just don't take their cannon. The cannon's gonna, well, let's just say in a couple of days' time, it's gonna be a death trap. You could walk us out.
But then Virion will be walking right into it.
I don't know. Is this really your Virion?
We don't know who he is here. But again, he could be an innocent bystander. He could, I don't know. But either way, the Clack Clack Horde could come here, and we might need the Elven army to fight them.
The standard invasion of the Clack Clack door takes at least a decade. This much we have understood. They don't seem to have been drawn to this world for a specific reason. Again, it implies that they are looking for something and they have not yet found it. It's all theories at the moment.
One talked to me and said that she will always find us. And we've met 3 different versions of Ward, and in every version, the 3 of us have always been together.
Admittedly, that ain't a large group of people, mind you. We've only met only Warren has met with us in the past. But
he's mentioned us every time, like that. We know we stick together, at least from that.
Maybe that even means something along. And I don't want to be the only one thinking it here, but I gotta say it. We've got some rift stones. We can easily manage to get out of this camp by walking through a rift. The thing is that the Clack Clack door are a definite threat, something that's going to challenge not only this world, but every world we go on. Now, I empathize with these here small critters, but at the end of the day, an imperialist elven society, they seem to have things in hand. Like this fella here seems like he's got a plan to stop these Vol stories from being able to take over. That right, fella?
There's only one.
Well, we're going to certainly cripple their main form of transportation, if that's what you're asking.
So it looks like these folk here are on the uprise. With that being said, look, if the Clack Clack manage to make their way through and into other worlds, there's going to be a much bigger problem than these guys. It might be worth our while, considering that maybe we should leave things as is and maybe get on our way and see if we can find another place where we can maybe have a look and see if we can stop this rift transportation nonsense and stop the Clack Clack from leaving where they've already taken over.
But guys, that's all future stuff. Shouldn't we worry about like the stuff now? Like it might better we just get out of camp and then talk. That's my biggest concern because we're surrounded by thousands.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying we could use the portals to get the hell out of Dodge right now.
But
I don't.
But people need our help here.
That's true, but people need help everywhere. You know.
I just summoned Virion here, and he's going to be exactly where they're going to explode it. That's on me. I don't think you understand. I can't have that on me.
I'm so conflicted.
All right. Damn, that is a good one.
What if he's a
well,
bad
well, you shouldn't have done that now, should you?
I'm so
All right.
sorry.
All right, listen.
Wait, what? Okay, here. How about? Okay,
No.
brain's
Okay.
thinking.
Okay.
We take the Arcanum to there. It's supposed to explode in 3 days, but if we can get to Varian and then jump, he lives, they live, we live, and everything can continue to go any shit here with before the Clacker door even get here.
That's a mighty big risk. Listen, I sort of look at the goblin and I say, this. I assume you've planted a bomb on whatever vehicle this Arcanon, whatever thing
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's set to a timer, or is it like sort of like it get too hot and it'll blow?
There's a canyon that they're gonna have to pass over. It's how the whole thing works. It's like a mobile carriage, if you like, drawn by magic through the gates.
Right. So as soon as it passes over this canyon, that's when it triggers.
We're blowing out two of the gates. That will cause the train to lose stability. It will plunge into the canyon and kill everybody on board. It will prove that we are strong and that the rebellion is not to be brushed aside. We won't have our lands invaded and all our people killed and slaughtered because we're just different from the Nazarites or the Savists. It's just, well, quite frankly, it's not on. So we will show them we have teeth, and if they want our territory, they're going to have to pay for it, and buckets of their bastardly blood.
Well, I think every man and woman's got a right to defend their own, so I ain't here to judge you on that. But if Virian's heading on that rail, we need to intercept him before he gets to that canyon, if we have any choice of this. But at the same time, we don't want to get in the way of this plan and stop them from being able to put an end to their troubles. So I recommend what we need to do is we need to intercept the train on its way in. You've sent it for 3 days. That means 3 days is how long we got.
You
We can get ahead of-
When the gates blow, there's going to be a catastrophic failure across their entire rail line. This explosion is going to literally wrap around the goddamn world. Every gate on the train line is going to explode.
Won't that also affect your lands?
They haven't finished building the train lines out here. That's why they have slowed a little, if you like. This is the terminus of that one train, of the line specifically running into the Goblin territories. It
Are we
runs
really
all the
just
way back
fighting
to
for
the
your-
capital from here.
This sounds like just another form of genocide. We're going from elves killing everybody to goblins killing all the elves, and
Rather the
Who's
goblins
now-
running the place than the bloody elves, or the humans as far as I'm concerned. No offence between the two of you, of course. But we don't go around killing innocent women and children. The lines are only used
there's the
by
man who's
soldiers.
literally blowing up the world. Is going to blow up the
It's just
world,
gates
Well-
and some areas around the gates probably that are going to get
and everyone on them.
sure, but the
That's-
trains are
that's
only used
murder.
by the military. They're all soldiers that are going to come and try and kill us anyway.
You're
Sorry,
trying to justify murder with murder.
What would you have us do then? Perhaps lie down and let them cut our throats? You don't
No,
understand.
not that either.
The goblins don't pose any value to the Nazarites or the Savist. We're not useful as slaves. So what happens to the goblins? We just get eradicated, that's all.
Warren, what are you thinking? Because this is a very big problem. Because now it's now murder with murder. The elves are definitely in the wrong, but now the goblins are too.
That's what
There
war
has to
is.
be a better
Murder
way.
with murder.
We need to end this war.
All right, I'm gonna throw something out there.
Okay.
Their whole idea, this whole thing, comes from this imperial organization. Now, I had a situation back on the farm. We had a herd of ankegs that we had to round up and corral, try to break a few in. There was this one ornery bull that caused a lot of problems, used to attack any of the other males in order to try and keep its herd together. So, in order to stop it from killing all our male stock, we had to go take him out the side and take him out. As soon as that happened, there was a shift, and suddenly there was a new thing in charge, and The cattle, the antigs, they were perfectly fine. You know, they work well, and the everything was perfectly ordinary.
Flint, are you saying to kill the Volstoy because you realize you're trying to murder me?
No. That ain't what I'm saying.
Okay, good.
You mentioned that there's some form of empress or something, whatever the hell that is. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, if there ain't no empress, the elves will be too busy fighting themselves to be focused on the goblin lands. Give you enough time to at least fortify yourself and hunker down, while a changing regime may see that the campaign further into this area might not even be worth it. From what we saw in the map, these elves are spread far and wide across this planet. You can take out the person's head, everyone's going to be rushing back for a piece of the capital. And with all that consolidating going on, it'll weaken them in the outer lands, just like this one.
I don't know if it works that way or if they already have someone planning to rise.
No,
over
you've
the
got
Empress.
a bloody good idea there, mate. You should join the rebellion, actually. That's pretty damn sharp. If you've managed to convince this entire camp that you're the Volstoy, all we need to do is get the Volstoy to leave the capital. You can go waltzing into the Empress's room, cut her head off, and that's it. End of the Savist Empire.
And that is exactly what I'm thinking.
We're going to blow up the Arcanicon anyway because, well, we can't stop it now. But that's certainly progress. Would you be willing to do that?
Did she demand to kill the children?
The Empress? Oh.
Uh-huh.
She just... the Empress decides which races get to live on Braxia and which don't, as far as the elves are concerned. She has...
So it's all from her?
Well, she's in charge, mate. That's how it works. It's what an Empress is.
How many of the elves that you know of, Berg, because I know the goblins are angry, how many of them actually are racist and how many are under threat to be so by the Empress?
You're asking a very difficult sociological question there, and it's best answered, I feel, with a diagram, but he sort of looks around, well, there isn't really much here. They understand the fundamentals of the elves here in this iteration, nonetheless. They firmly believe in their Empress. Yes, there is, of course, the ever-present threat of being simply taken away and executed for crimes against the Empress. That has happened in the past, I believe. On the other hand, none of the elves have ever shown any kind of disdain or dislike for their duties. They genuinely believe that the lesser races, such as the goblins, for example, gnomes, halflings, all of them don't really have a place within this world that they're trying to create. Their ambition of the Empress is, of course, lofty, as they usually are, bring about stability to the whole of Braxia by ensuring a firm grasp and the removal of any races that may destabilize that. As a result, I'm afraid the tieflings were wiped out quite some time ago. There is a specific agenda that's being pushed. Ultimately, I believe that the Empress will be satisfied once the majority of the planet has been reduced effectively to the different elvish lines and possibly sharing with the humans. There is a tenuous alliance at the moment, but not very strong. There's a disdain that the elves have for the humans being such short-lived creatures.
Yep. You just see you see Warren pull out the hammer and then just rest on the shoulders. For the greater good, we have to stop this. Let's go and put her down. She's hurt people for far too long, and this is by Delu's right, I believe.
So here's the new problem. How do we get Floriat out of the Empress's chambers so I can walk in?
Oh,
again, I think our best bet would be Varian.
When the Arcanon explodes, if that doesn't get the Volstoy to come out of here, I don't know what.
Well,
okay, but you can't. I need you to. I need to be able to properly act as Floriat. If Varian is Floriat's lover in this life, I don't even know. He would best know how I should pretend to get me into the room with the Empress. Because that's a lot of deceiving. If I mess up once, you almost messed up once already with me pretending to be the Volstoy because I didn't know what it was.
That definitely could be true. And listen, I understand that whatever you're going through right now with Virion is a very complex thing that honestly I don't understand, as I am about as hollow as it comes. But if I'm saying if Virion ain't on our side, letting him know what we're up to could be the linchpin that brings this whole thing down. What
And
we
then
need to do is we need to use Virion to draw out Feloriat. What I recommend we do is we redirect Virion to another location. At the same time, we send word to the capital. Rumors, Stearns, or whatever, and you know how folk talk. Simply saying that Virion is dead. That he's killed at this location.
Well,
Now,
Has someone just divination or scry saying that he's alive?
No,
well,
he's
no,
gonna be dead,
because-
isn't he?
Well, no. Ideally, I mean, I imagine that Floria, you don't want this Virion to be dead.
Wait, what if he have a body?
Well, I seriously doubt there's going to be very much left after it's gone. Predictions.
All right, listen, Goblin, listen here, you. Now, the idea is we are not going to blow up half the world, okay? Now, I like a good explosion as much as the next person, but we're trying to do this. So, well, you know, what, you're going to wrap the explosion around half the world, ain't you? That's what you just said.
Well, theoretically, it's going to stretch from here all the way to the heart of the Athene Vassal Empire. If
Right.
the
Well,
primary
look, we're trying to keep collateral damage down, okay? So ideally, we won't need the explosion. That's the whole point.
We're going to stop this. You have got another thing coming, mate. This has
Whoa,
been planning
like I
for
Aren't we
2
trying to
years.
help you by destroying the Empress?
Yeah, what'd you rather?
You can
Kill
give
a
me the
train or
lives of
kill
the
the
other
Emperor?
elves to throw the Empire into a state of chaos.
Yeah, but with all
But
due
you can
respect,
spare the lives of the other elves.
with all due respect, if we take out the Arcanon, not only does it take out a whole bunch of soldiers and munitions and supplies that the elves are going to be using against us anyways, but it also means that if they do try and come back, they've got to do it the old fucking fashioned way, which is by foot, and that's when we can get them. Being able to move mass troops around on the Arcanon is the biggest problem that we have.
Warren walks out of the room. He's like, "I'll be right back." I just walk out.
All right.
And we're going to take a break there, and we will carry on with this shortly.
Okay.
Stick around.
So much
to
planning.
Chat with the cast. There's so much planning going on. And we'll catch you in the second
You're
half in a
going
few
to
minutes.
murder the Empress?
Yep.
You
convinced
what's
Warren,
How
so that's
powerful is this lady?
What's happening?
What level is she?
Probably on a Hitler status. She wants to destroy the races that are not pure.
I'm switching over to the chat just to see what's going on here, and oh boy, it looks like there's lots of stuff. My mic is a bit low compared to the others. No one else seems to have noticed it. All right, okay. There we go. Lots of discussion going on. Lots of new people having joined as well. Eric seems to think it's a good plan, he says.
Thank you, Eric.
No, he says the goblins have got a good plan.
I see how it is. Thanks, Eric.
Yeah, I don't think we should be going to kill the Empress because I don't think we could.
Flint, you have been labeled the Kingslayer.
The Kingslayer. That's awesome. Okay, so I am so confused. I'm like, I'm trying to find something to grasp onto, something tangible. Because at the moment, it's like this huge cluster of different things going on. We have the Clack Clack Door and their invasion of the different worlds. We have Feloria and her thing with Virion, whatever that happens to be. We have
There's a long story. I was hoping that you'd show up today.
We'll have the goblins and their current espionage attempt to blow up people, and we've got Warren's not wanting to kill a mass amount of innocent people. And I'm just sitting there going, I, the player, am just like, too hard.
There's too many problems. We can't solve them all.
Yeah, different world. Okay, guys, let me ask you this. Keep your problems to at least 6 words, all right? If you can do this, we can help you, okay?
I love Virion. Don't kill him. That's exactly 6 words.
So, I think the idea to kill the Empress is the one that's going to sort of tick the most boxes. The catch is that if we kill the Empress, the next thing is to try and convince the goblins that that they don't need to blow up the rail, and then hopefully not have to kill a bunch of innocent people who might be on the rail as well. And I had a really good idea, but I'm gonna save that for the second half. I've got a really good idea for that.
Keep us in
but-
tenterhooks, yeah.
But hopefully that'll slowly play out, and we're gonna go to the capital and murder a queen.
No, I have a good idea. A truce or a ceasefire because of the clack clack door. They're the bigger threat that can bring us all together, and the goblins will help us.
You have so much faith in
I
people.
could be the royal advisor to get her to do this.
Wait,
Oh,
you
I'm
want
just
to
gonna follow you
lure
guys
the
now.
clack clack door here so that you can prove how dangerous they are.
No. I just want to be like, there's a giant threat coming. We need to cease fire on the other races until it is taken care of.
And what
Yes,
proof do we have of this?
That'll go down quite well.
Yeah.
Do we have any proof?
The clock door? Absolutely not.
I mean, we can go grab one. Just teleport.
Yeah, let's teleport to another world. Bring his
Oh
body
no,
back.
we've only got 6 stones. We can't go back. Whatever can we do?
No. We have enough right quick on the jump. I thought, don't we?
You've got 12 stones left.
Oh, we've got 12
Okay.
stones. Damn. Okay, yeah, okay. I guess, but then we'd be stuck here. We'd have to solve this then.
I don't want to become an empress murderer.
The thing is, that's the thing. Like, Warren doesn't either, but he does what is right for the greater good. And what is killing the joy and light in this world is literally this empress. And that's what really sucks, because he wants to give everybody a second chance, but his mind's made up. It's hammer time.
See, here's the thing. If you can guarantee saving Varian, because Floria will do almost anything for him, she would probably go.
I think I've got it. I think I've got something that ticks all the boxes and allows the goblins to, as Dolphus Colon says, goblins can make big boom.
Yeah.
So I think I've got a thing. So the goblins can blow up the rail. We don't have to lose a whole bunch of people. Varian stays alive, and the Empress dies. I think I've got a plan that has everything fall into place.
No. I think half of it will come to fruition. Guy's gonna.
Oh no, it won't execute well.
I just
Absolutely not. But the
I
plan.
want to get Varian in on the plan, though.
No, you
Floria
can't.
wants to see him alive.
I know you, algorithm.
Stop telling the evil boyfriend what we're doing.
Not my
As
boyfriend,
one
my
comment
soul.
says, Emperor's murderers aren't born, they are made.
That's actually really true. I'm sorry, that's true. They're made.
That's very awesome. I like that. I'm gonna put that on a t-shirt when I get a chance. Yes, no. Okay, look, Floria. I think I don't get me wrong. I love.
They're on the break. I'm trying to eat.
Yeah, it's a break. We're supposed to eat and drink.
So
I
big.
love this character. I love her to bits, right? But I swear to God, if your boyfriend shows up and he's got a twirly mustache, I'm gonna port us out. I'm just thinking, like, that's it. Just
I'm fine with
tell
that.
me more about your plan against the Empress.
Yes. Yeah.
It's just we're in the evil alternate dimension, and I keep going. Yes, I understand. You want to tell him everything to the. But do you need to tell him the plan of us trying to kill the Empress? I mean, ask him how his
No, I
Sunday
don't have to
went.
have.
That's fine.
was
You know,
Sunday.
yeah, like just.
It doesn't necessarily have just to tell the plan. She wants to see him again, and whether he knows or not, she wants to use him to find out answers that she needed.
I have full confidence in Floria that you are going to basically do all the subtle behavioral checks to see if it's your Viren or not.
Oh yeah.
Otherwise, I would believe you would make the choice and not be like, I love you. Please don't tell anybody we're going to kill the Empress. I have full faith she's not going to do that.
I do not have that faith. I feel like at
But
some point
I
or
have nothing
another.
but faith.
I
I
If
never-
anything,
a
she's trying to.
God that says good luck.
It's more that if something goes wrong and we fail, she wants him to be prepared for the clack clack door arriving.
Oh, okay. I see. I
She's
mean,
okay with
I
letting
get
him know about shifters and what's coming. She's not necessarily going to tell the plans for this world. She wants him to know what is happening throughout all of them.
But then this
Yeah,
guy,
shippers.
who's also a master of the linguistical arts, who I have no doubt has the capability to weave an intricate web through a conversation to pull information out.
Hey, you can ask the viewers. I told them my plan at the beginning of today's show.
How's it going so far? Because last
are
time
we
Joe
doing
was
no?
failed.
Quick, viewers, tell us his plan.
Yeah, are we supposed to?
Man!
It really
Are we
doesn't
supposed to
matter.
be assassinating the queen? Is that what's supposed to happen?
Yeah, that was totally my plan.
Yeah? Yeah, I think so.
Really?
No. No, it was not my plan.
Um.
I'm just.
Alright.
There's
trying to bring
Guy's
up
plan,
tension.
and here's the shredder.
All right. So I've actually got a question for the audience. If are there any questions from the audience before I actually
no
ask
ones
my
I've
question?
seen so far.
No. Okay. So I've got a question
Everyone's
for the
just
audience.
teasing us right now.
Okay, so with the idea of like obviously characters coming from different worlds and stuff like
Eric says
that,
we're on track.
I think people have started to really get to know each of the characters and stuff like that. How are you guys finding like the interactions between each of these people from different worlds? I mean, obviously, Flint. Let's put Flint off to the side because he comes from a drastically different world. But obviously, this world is similar to Floria's world different to Warren's world. Are the
The
distinctions?
people aren't similar. My world is very different from this.
Oh, is it? Oh, I mean, besides
yeah.
obviously the giant elf genocide thing, I more mean like forests and trees and
Forest
rough.
trees, yeah, they still exist in my world.
Oh, okay. Well, good for you.
We have
Yeah, I
nice
have forests.
dragons.
What type of... Yeah, you have nice dragons.
Look at you and your trees and nice birds and fresh water and all that.
No, we literally it is one of the nicest worlds you can imagine. Just
My world is pretty
much
awesome.
interaction with beasts and dragons and people. The only thing we fight off is a bunch of demons that usually try to come up.
True story. Where Floria came from, like, because she came from an old campaign. We kept running into like somewhat evil beasts, and I would roll amazingly well on like animal checks and made most of my friends. I had a griffin mount by level 3.
Deloria,
yeah.
beast
That's sick.
tamer.
Floria, the animal friend.
But do you guys get that distinction? Do you guys get that that sense that we're all from different worlds? Because I think that's a really nice flavor for the Broken World Chronicles is the fact that because I haven't actually played in any game like this where we have come from such drastically different settings into a singular one.
Floria's gonna have a real hard time killing the Empress because that's just not how it's done in her world. It feels so dirty.
That's okay. Flint can do it. I've got no issues. I mean, hell. Oh, actually, no. I do have an issue. I have an issue which a couple of people have pointed out. I have my issue. I have 5 issues, right? And they're exactly the number of bullets I have left.
Also,
That
just
is
so you know,
my
guys,
issue.
I left you a quick message.
I have 5 bullets left. That's all I've got remaining. So I need to find a way to
Don't miss.
Either make bullets or find bullets. So I like the fact that this guy has mentioned he's got gunpowder and explosives and stuff because maybe I can actually coax to get some bullets from him. Because bullets from my world are actually a little bit different to bullets from other worlds. So I hope Guy doesn't play that up and say that I can't use the bullets.
You'll have to find some first. You will have to find some.
Damn it.
Don't worry.
This is why you go old-fashioned bow and arrow, because then you never run out. You shoot someone and take their bows and arrows.
No one ever runs out of hammer.
That's true. Although at this point, with the way I've been shooting, I feel like I'd be better off just swinging it like a club.
Yeah,
Oh,
one.
I'm sorry, man.
Natural
Yeah,
one
I've-
again.
Yeah, I know,
Refuses
right?
to take the third shot because he's scared it's going to be a 1.
No, I'm having flashbacks of Fantasy Grounds because I've played with it a lot on a Twitch channel before, a long time ago, and it was with the Middle Earth setting. I do not recommend the game unless you really are into torture, because it's really hard to play that game. You will die quickly and with no mercy because you're just normal.
with anyone murdering anybody.
But yeah, Fantasy Grounds can be cruel sometimes. But I also like how everything's organized. So it's nice. Like quick referencing to looking at the classes and the races and feats and items and stuff. So yeah, it's fun to come back into it though. I feel like it's actually a little better from last I played it. It's been a while too.
Yeah, I think for me the biggest thing with Fantasy Ground that I'm finding is it's nice to have everything kind of clear and where it is, but on occasion I like I don't know, I like obviously pushing the mold for some of the things you can do with your abilities and skills. And you know, I don't know, I like there are some times where, you know, it really takes a great GM to be able to handle that kind of gameplay. And I think Fantasy Grounds limits that a little in the sense that If I want to say use my gun to ricochet off a barricade and hit someone from the side, obviously there are a whole bunch of rules that get applied. Doing it at a table is just a matter of going, okay, this, that, and the other, and roll a dice. Whereas on Fantasy Ground, obviously there's calculations and numbers and all that sort of stuff.
Okay, everyone done with the break? Should we carry on?
Yeah, we should do that thing.
There's
we have a show to do
from the chat that you're all
right, so we're back in the middle of trying to figure out what the hell we're gonna do.
Yes, we'll try and figure that
Whisk
out.
us away,
I'm gonna take us
more
to
from the
opening,
breakfast table.
and
all right.
And here we go. We'll catch you guys on the flip side just after the hour when we'll wrap up. Here we go. Hello and welcome back to part 2 of episode 5. We are continuing. If you have just joined us, welcome to the show. Right, so the three of you are in debate as to the morally and ethically and genocidally appropriate course of action to take. You have poor old Berg and the two goblins sitting around you whilst you debate your future prospects.
Oh, no, I'm done.
Warren, you have left. Yes, I'm going to come to you,
yes.
Warren. Where are you going?
I'm going to go outside and talk to the guards, and I got to ask them. I got to know where the rest of, if there are any more goblin prisoners or anyone else that maybe we can rely on as allies.
The guard looks down at you with the, you now start to
Oh, no,
realize...
that was my head.
Oh,
I will go to the guard. Oh, sorry. Yeah. I'm not going to say, just be like, hey, where are the goblin friends? No, I will go to the guard and be like, are there any more prisoners here? My lady would like to know.
The guard looks down at you with, you have started to realize the usual sneer that elves apparently give non-elves, and he sort of inclines his head towards the forward of the camp where there's the main gate entrances. It looks from here like there's a stockade that's been built, a corral of some kind. The rest of them are over there, sir.
Okay. I'll speak in this language again, be like, thank you. Maybe that's what elves sound like.
He watches you as you leave him, and then goes back to his usual posting. Back into the room with the two of you, Feloria and Flint.
All right, so Flint's as he's thinking, there's this kind of grinding sound that you guys can hear from like inside his skull. Little gouts of like smoke, like black smoke start coming out from behind his ears as he goes, all right, here's what we need to do. We are going to kill the Empress for you. But this is what's going to happen. We are going to go and convince Feloria's ingenue to meet us at a location before the canyon and the explosion. The canyon and the explosion will happen, but not till after we manage to send message that the tracks are down, which we will do before you detonate their bomb that you've got. What you'll then do is you'll be shutting down the entire infrastructure of those rails. We kill the Empress. Once the Empress is dead, people can't travel, communications break down, and you're in an advantageous position. And if they want to reestablish, as you say, they won't have the rail to fall back on.
Here's a big, big question. The rails go down in 3 days. How do we get to the city so we can get to the Empress to kill her?
The old-fashioned
if the rails are down!
The old-fashioned way. On Ankegs.
Oh, God.
What?
Why don't we just use the train, not Florida?
Because it's gonna blow up.
The city.
Yeah, you misunderstand. I'm not responsible for blowing the train. There's a whole other organisation that are busy doing that. So
you said you blow two to disrupt, correct?
We blow up
was
two
the only one
gates,
blows?
but the gates are portals. between each other. That's how the Arcanon moves between the gates. It moves between them. Blow out two of them and it causes a ripple effect back, like a series of little black toy-like things that fall over onto one another, causing a chain reaction all the way down the line.
What happens if only one blows?
Then very little happens. The train just takes longer to get between two gates is all.
So could we not stop the gate from blowing so we continue using the train to get to the city?
But then the elves continue to use the train and it doesn't send the message that we want to send.
Yeah. No.
Don't you think the murder of their queen and empress sends a pretty loud message?
You're talking hypothetical.
No.
We are
Okay, well, like I said,
just waiting for the... We're waiting for the train to get into position before we blow it out. Everything else is in place.
so you guys are blowing it out when it gets over that specific point. It's automated, right?
Without going into too much of the details, yeah.
Yeah. So that makes perfect sense. So exactly what we said. We'll head to the city and making sure we don't go over the canyon, then riding on the rail or riding on this here portal gate magic thing. And then we send it back after we say that the train line is down. And that way people around the gates, wherever they happen to be, aren't caught up in your explosion. But at the same time, you still disable the rail. So that way, no innocent people die. The Empress goes down. All the train lines go down, so they can't reestablish. And Virion stays alive, and we get to chat with him in the city.
If he survives, okay.
All right. Go team. That's it. No more. Hey, look at the goblin. Don't say anything. This is the plan, and this is what we're doing.
I like to imagine, like, you look over to, like, and Warren, damn it!
And it's like, and Warren, I don't want to hear anything more about these stolen. Where the hell is Warren?
Warren, you arrive at the stockade. You can see within it there are probably about 4 or 5 goblins in very bad states and 2 very heavily armed guards standing at the entrance to the stockade.
Okay, so I'm very sorry, everybody. This is just how Warren thinks. So I take out my hammer and I start kind of drawing in the dirt because my comprehend language is I think, would you say probably 30 minutes has gone by at least?
Yep.
Okay, so still got 30 minutes left. I'm gonna write in Goblin on the ground. Be prepared to possibly escape.
All right.
As I looked at the guards and say, my lady wished to give these goblins a message in their own language that they are filth and they deserve to die in the fire of this new and brand empire.
Warren, they might just burn them after you leave.
I don't know that.
Oh no.
Give me a deception check, if you please.
They can't read Goblin.
Wait, goblins don't read.
Shit! I mean, shoot! I meant to say shoot. Don't say the bad word, kids. Hey, see, it's true.
It's true, yeah. There was a mistake happening there. The guards look at what you have scrawled in the sand. They look back at you.
Oh no.
Why would the Volstoy want to give them a message in their own filthy language?
Because they're trash, and she wishes to communicate to the beasts that they are trash, to their very souls. How else do you break someone else's spirit? I've learned that from my time as a guard. Now I've had enough of this
Wait
silly conversation.
here.
I just walk away.
Stop moving, human.
Oh no.
Nope.
He starts running.
No, I'm
You're
just walking.
stopping.
I am the guard of the voice story.
You better know how to pronounce it, because I can't see.
I am the guard of the bok choy. I know exactly what I'm doing.
The bok choy?
The
Isn't that a
guard
vegetable?
runs up next to you and says, "Are you dumb? I said stop walking."
I don't answer to you. I answer to Lady Floria. At.
We're gone.
Oh no!
All right.
He then watches as you continue walking. Give me a perception check.
Oh shit!
They just probably want to shake my hand.
I can't.
Yay!
You see,
That's a 20.
as you continue to walking, your peripheral vision is straining to see what's going on around you, perhaps. And you notice that the guard does not return to his post, but he marches quite curtly and quickly to the large rotund general who's in charge of the camp, and starts to talk to him quite earnestly with reference to you as you get back to the Volstoy's tent.
Yeah, he's probably just being a scaredy cat and just walk back to the tent.
Yeah, you get back into the tent. The two of you, Warren arrives as you finish concluding.
Now, Warren, there you are. All right, so here's the plan. We're going to basically start by heading to the city and telling, what was his name? Sorry. Varian.
Uh-huh.
Varian.
Varian.
Varian. Varian.
Telling Varian to meet us in the city. We're going to kill the Empress. They're going to blow up the rail after we say that it's deactivated. And then people won't die. Rails will be down. Empress will be dead. And we can get the hell out of here.
All right, I'll let them know that we're going to go meet him so we can leave.
Didn't we want to release the other goblins, potentially?
Look, we release these goblins and they can stage a rescue. But that'll be the only thing that these guys are doing.
Berg. What about Berg? Is he going to come with us? He knows a lot of information on the clack door.
We ain't taking Berg to the city. I mean, unless you can fight. You fire a gun? Shoot a bow?
Eh.
He, in his bruised state, looks at you. I have no combat interest at all. I've dedicated my life to solving issues, not causing them.
Okay,
How about if we
I let
ever
the other
run into...
goblins know, though, about our plans.
There is something
did
that you
what?
should know what?
Wait, Warren.
I let the other prisoners know, so that way they're ready for an escape.
There are ears everywhere. There's 1,000 elves here. What are you thinking?
I didn't tell them, silly. I wrote it in the dirt in the goblin language because no one else here can read
And then you erased
goblin.
it, right?
What?
Then you erased it, right?
No,
gonna
we
have
had
a
to
look.
read it.
I'm going to have a look out
Oh
of
my
the tent.
god, no. How do you know how to speak goblin, sweetheart?
Because Delo gives me that ability, which is gone.
And do you think maybe anyone else, maybe even mages in this tent or this place, might possibly have the same abilities as you?
Nah.
Oh, Warren, no.
Besides,
Clint, you going somewhere?
Sorry, as this is happening.
We need to leave now. I'm gonna go talk to the big guy, and we're getting the hell out of Dodge.
Flint's going to peer out of the pavilion first,
Sure.
having a look just out into the courtyard and see what he sees.
The general is now standing in front of the stockade, looking at the writing that this soldier has now pointed out to him. You
It's
can
fine.
see hurrying.
Flint's gonna close the pavilion. I don't breathe, so he doesn't sigh. But if Warforged could sigh, that's what would be happening right now. He turns and he walks up to Warren, and not hard, but just kind of, sternly, takes off his hat and just hits him on the head with it, just.
what did I do?
All right, we need to get out. I'm gonna try and find the back of the
I'm so
pavilion where the tent is.
Heavy
And
tent.
I'm gonna take one of what I assume is there's like a knife for cutting the fruits and stuff like that,
Yes.
like
Yep.
a fruit knife, in fact. By the way, guys, stay tuned. Flint kills 1,000 elves with a fruit knife. Okay. So,
Flint
I have an idea.
dies
I have an
with a
idea.
I'm gonna cut the tent and create an opening and say we need to get the hell out. If you've got an idea, tell us on the way. Let's go.
No, they'll come after us. What if you guys get out? I pretend like you knocked me out so I can get Virion, because if we just leave now, we can't get at there enough time to save Virion. His death will still be on our hands.
Look, we need to do what we can now, but that fellow there, he's already seen what Warren gone done. He's already got us in question, and he already thinks.
I can't read it.
I looked at Warren like, hit me.
It was an insult.
Look, we can talk about this, but we need to go. We can't stay
Warren,
here.
hit me.
I don't think they'll believe
No.
that deception, to be honest with you.
I'm gonna say, okay, old man, look, you get out. I'll see if I can deal with this. Go,
He starts
take the goblins
leaving.
with you.
The goblins are
Warren.
already running past you. They're like, yeah, cheers, mate.
Hit me.
No. I don't
You have
wanna.
to.
No,
if you
that's
don't,
bad.
Virion dies.
All right, I'm gonna hit the both of them. Right? Just I basically take my fist and I hit them both super hard, and I tell them, lie down and stay still and shut up.
I don't want you to hit me either.
I'm
Don't
gonna.
hit me.
No,
I'm gonna die.
They're suspecting Warren.
No,
Yeah,
Dad.
Warren,
no,
I will
Dad.
meet you in the city. Take
no,
Warren, I will meet you in the city.
No, because well,
All right, so yes.
all right, I'll take Warren. I'll grab Warren while he's blocking.
Okay, just hit me really hard now. In the back of the head.
No, I'm gonna hit you in the
Why?
eye. I'm gonna hit you in the eye, straight in the eye.
Okay.
Bang!
No, why don't we just leave?
Don't tell me
Drop.
how to be a violent sociopath.
I don't want you to be violent. I just want everybody to get out of here alive.
Okay, I just dropped to the floor.
All right. Are you dragging Warren? Are you being dragged out by Flint?
Yeah.
I don't know anymore. What are we doing? Shouldn't we get her out of here?
No, she's fine. She said she's fine, and we'll come back for her if she ain't. Come on. Move it.
As I go with him.
All right. This is requiring an initiative. We're going to use the initiative tracker here on. Save a dice on the save a dice on fantasy grounds. Right. So, Flora, you are acting first. You drop to the ground.
Yeah, I'm pretending that they knocked me out and that they're like staging a coup with the goblins.
All right, that's what you're doing. Flint, you go rushing out, dragging Warren with you. You get to the wooden palisade wall that sits almost directly. Well, there's a good 15 feet, and then the palisade wall. There are guards on the towers, but the towers are probably 30 foot on either side of you. You're right in the middle of it. The goblins, the one known as Pongo, is standing there, and you're not entirely sure what he's doing, but he's got two fingers stuck in his mouth, two fingers up his nostrils, and the other goblin is standing there with one finger in his one ear, and he's busy patting his other ear. And he seems to be blowing air through his fingers, but not making very much of a sound. The moment you arrive, they stop doing it and kind of give you a grin. What are you doing?
Trust you got a plan to get through there? I whisper. Very loudly.
There was a contingency that maybe we might be able to effect an escape, yes.
All right, well, what's the... Well, what is it? Wait?
Well, I've signalled the boys. It will take them some time to get here. Probably about, 20 seconds or so.
All right, I will wait 20 seconds.
We're going to try wait 20 seconds.
Yep. I'll keep an eye on Warren. If he seems like he's going to talk or say anything, I'm going to cover his mouth and say, shut up!
Warren, it is your action. You've seen these goblins and Flint.
Okay. I'm gonna turn the Flint and be like, I got it taken care of.
Shut up.
I just
No. Don't you get me started, boy.
I think I tricked them. I'm serious.
No, you'll be quiet and you'll wait 20 seconds.
Back to you, Valoria. The tent flaps are pulled aside, and the large general and 4 of the drow that you've seen before in the cave system come charging in. He looks around. He sees you on the floor. Give me a performance, if you please.
But that's 4 rounds, Flint.
Do I get advantage since I have a black eye now?
It's mitigated by something.
Oh, good.
The black
No,
eye is
as in-
mitigated by something?
Well, the reason why you don't get advantage is because of something that you're not aware of.
Oh, I was going to say, because if the black eye is mitigated, I'll go back and have another crack. I mean, I'm good with that. Yeah?
Dear, oh dear, oh dear. The general looks cautiously. Oh, I forgot to add disadvantage. Sorry. The general looks at you. He completely buys the story.
God.
The drow. Not so much. The general sort of looks over at you, doesn't pay you much attention, and then immediately starts looking around. Where is the human?
I'd point out the general direction, just like the bloody bloke hit me. I was so close to cracking the code on those stupid stones.
The 3 drow look at you. The one steps forward and whispers in the general's ear. The general turns and says, "How was it that they managed to overpower you?"
Because I was having a conversation with the one human. The other human went outside and I thought nothing of it. He came back and he struck me.
You.
Hell,
no
he
doubt.
even had his turn at like smacking the old fool around.
You fell to that boy.
I didn't fall. Do I look like I'm dead? No, I took a black eye from the boy.
Where are they now?
That way.
He looks at the 4 elves, the drow. They don't have any power here. He sort of indicates they split up into the different rooms of the tent. Outside, the goblins' ears suddenly all start to quiver slightly. And the one named Pongo looks at you, Flint and Warren. Okay, we should probably back off a little bit.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I'll back off a little bit.
All right. You can see the guards in the towers have spotted your little cluster down there, and they're starting to shout. There's a bell that's busy being rung. The cut that you made is pulled open, and a drow sticks his head through. Flint, you wanted to do something?
Oh, sorry. This is kind of retroactive. I'm okay if it doesn't happen. But the previous night, after we were sleeping, could I say that I rolled up that big map and kept it?
I thought someone did take the map.
No, it's Flint.
We took it off the wall.
We took it off the wall, but we didn't.
Yeah.
We didn't actually do anything with
You
it.
didn't say you kept it.
Yeah,
happy
I
with
would-
it in your
I was
backpack.
certain that like Flint wanted
Yeah.
to take it for yourself, though.
Cool. Okay.
I recall. Well, there was telling me about the map, so I don't have a problem with that. Absolutely. This drow head appears through the cut, sees the 3 of you. The wall suddenly bends inwards as there is this incredible explosion that slams into it. And the posts start lifting out of the ground and firing up into the air like so many, wooden ballista bolts, basically. And the towers on either side sort of rock slightly. I need you, Warren, and you, Flint, please, to give me dexterity saving throws.
I'm the best at those. I was hoping that was going to happen.
That's a good one. Yeah,
13.
Okay, you both get hit by these
Ugh.
ballista posts, basically. I don't know how to do this, so I'm just going to roll it there. You take 26 damage each. As you get slammed by these. Feloria, the tent suddenly just disappears around you. It gets slammed by these posts and poles as well, dragging the across the courtyard. Choose a number, Feloria, between 1 and 6, including
4.
1 and 6. 4. It's number 6. Okay. The general, natural one, the general turns as this whole thing is happening, and this post just buries itself in his chest, knocking him sideways into the ground. The other drow sort of are taking cover as best they can. There's just this general chaos and mayhem. The goblins on the outside are busy running through the smouldering ruins of this wooden post line, busy shouting, "Come on, come on, now's the time, let's go, let's go, let's go," as they're doing so.
As this sort of happens, Flint's going to sort of grab Pongo, like, by the scruff and look at him square in the eye and say, "You need to tell me who your guy is. He's really good."
Yeah, well, that wasn't supposed to be that big, actually. I think you got the mixture wrong.
Flint likes explosions.
Oh, you're gonna love what happens to the train.
Oh.
I did. I didn't want it not to not happen. But yeah, all right.
Oh,
Yeah, Warren, you've been smacked about a bit.
just another day of being a paladin, right? Right, Mom?
She's so staggering through the
Stars
smoke.
running around your head.
With little tiny dragons floating around his head.
Around you.
Are we actually walking away right now?
Running is the appropriate term.
There is something I wanted to do. So, like, how are all the drow looking real fast?
It's chaos. The tent has been ripped off of its hinges, so 3 of them are currently busy sort of pulling cloth and canvas off of themselves with the Feloria and the drow inside the tent. The tent has collapsed, obviously, over them. So.
Felori's still inside the tent.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, I'm totally like barking orders like a general would, like, put the fires out and blah, 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 bring me their heads. Like, I'm just faking it as best I can.
Shapes from underneath the tent. Flint? Warren?
No. I'm gonna see if I can try and get her out.
You're going to rush over to Flora. It's easy enough. You can see her hands gesticulating and the like.
Yeah, I'm just gonna like grab her arm and be like, "We gotta go. You have to come with us.
You're going to cut her out because she's underneath the tent.
You gotta go. We have to run."
As he starts wailing on it with a hammer.
Trying to rip it open.
All right, you're using the reverse of
quick at
the hammer. It's a rather savage hook, so you can try and tear through it that way. Give me a strength check, please, as you try and rip through this canvas. It is a
Okay.
heavy canvas tent.
Hey.
Wow.
Natural.
That's the second one now.
I'm sorry. It should have been. That's not right.
Ah,
There we go.
still a dirty 20. You slam the hook of your warhammer in and just rip open the back. Feloria sort of daylight looms in with the smoke. You can see, Warren, that the garrison is mobilizing. Everyone is just charging towards the tent and this smoke.
I think time is up. And also, if we have to, we can pretend like we are kidnapping you. I'm kidnapping her. Haha! I tricked you. I'm pulling her.
Feloria, you go.
Okay, I'm gonna start stumbling backwards with him, shouting like, "I will make you forget this human. I will murder you." And
Don't care.
But I message him, if this plan of yours gets Varian killed, you are in big trouble.
I have to do what's for the greater good, but I will protect you.
That's what comes back. The two of you realize that if you are not running faster, the Elvish army will just simply encircle.
And as a bonus action, actually, I will cast Expeditious Retreat.
There we go.
That will let me dash. Yep.
That'll do it.
Are you like picking me up over your shoulder and running away with me?
Pretty much going, "Yep, I'm kidnapping her." And that is one spell slot.
I'm bashing on
As
your
you are running forward, Flint, you're kind of leading the charge. With Pongo and everybody else. You can see that there is It's a shrubbery. There's just no other way to describe it. It's a collection of shrubs which has been positioned about 50 feet away from the outside of the barracks. And as you're rushing forward, the whole shrubbery lifts up, and you can see two goblins holding Y-shaped sticks, pushing the sticks up. That sort of lifts the shrubbery up. And in between the two of them, there is a goblin sitting there with this... It looks like a staff. For a moment, you thought it was a rifle, because he's kind of holding it like a rifle. But then you realize there ain't no hole for the bullet to come out of. It's just this large staff. And the goblin kind of fires off a blast of energy. It sails over your heads, sails past you, Warren and Floria, and impacts into the ground and just sprays out this purple smoke in all different directions, sort of obscuring the camp pretty much. The shrubbery's then thrown aside, and they join your running towards... It's definitely a river that's nearby. That's the general direction that everyone is running in.
Flint sort of hearing Warren as well, sort of takes a moment and sort of looks over his shoulder and says, I think I figured it out. I think I've gotten it. I died in that barn. That's what's happened. I'm dead. I'm in the bad place. This is a horrible thing. I'm going to click my heels together, and out of the back of them, which, by the way, Flint's feet actually look like metal cowboy boots. So when he clicks his feet, two spurs sort of eject from the back, and they begin to grab into the ground and accelerate him forward. As a skirmisher Warforged, I actually have an accelerated speed of 35 feet.
Nice.
I love it.
He's going to use it to basically grab hold of the old man, who I don't
not
imagine
going
the old...
fast at all. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to use it to grab the old man and say, come on, Berg, we got to go. And, use it to make my, just basically just sort of jump as fast forward as I can.
As you're running, pulling him along, he sort of looks over at you and he says, is this how you normally operate? Is this your usual thing?
Running for my life? Yeah, sounds about right.
Oh dear. All right. Well, before anything happens to me, then there's something that I should tell you. As a matter of fact, you don't seem
Don't
to
talk like that, Berg.
know it.
You're going to live a long and filled life. You're going to have lots of grandbabies. You're going to find an equally curious and I don't know, whatever, eats food like you do. And you'll have lots of little things that eat food as well. And grow old and do that thing that you guys do when you get too old. Die.
Babies!
I am old already, Flint. No.
Ari, you all kind of look alike to me, so I mean...
You need to know about the shifters, the organization. They're going to come for you if you don't know about them.
Organization? They're organized?
Well, to a degree, they are. I am not part of them anymore. I was kicked out. That's why I don't have any stones, as a matter of fact. But you're right. We should run.
Well, I should run, but yeah, okay. You enjoy the ride.
All right, the three of you run, drag, hobble towards the river system. Get carried.
I've got so much dash on the list. Just
and
driving them.
Cresting a small hill, you look down over this very broad river. And again, there's a cluster of goblins. They're busy holding back some bushes and things, and you can see that there is this fairly large barge on the watercourse. As you come rushing down towards it, more goblins sort of pull you on board. Pongo sort of leaps onto it and he says, "They're with us. I think they're on our side. God, I don't know what they are. Just bring them along, and they might just take their weapons from them and make sure they don't have any explosives on them. I don't think they've got any explosives. I don't know. Just sort them out." As Flint, you arrive. You jump onto the barge, I'm assuming.
Yep. I'll hold the old man kind of like in the damsel in distress pose, like, he just as he leaps, and I'll put away my spurs because I don't want them to snap as I under the
barge.
deck.
The whole thing sort of rocks slightly. Warren, you arrive shortly thereafter because you were moving very fast. Yep. You arrive on the barge as well with Feloria. There's a rather angry-looking goblin female who looks at all of this. She then shouts to Pongo, "Is that everybody? Is everyone on board? Can we go?"
We made it.
He looks back. He says, "Well, there were 6 others, but I don't think they're going to get out of there. Best to head on, Madge." Right. Well, then, in that case, you heard him, boys. We're going down. We're going to go as far as we're going to go to Reef Caves. All right, Reef Caves. Good. Go.
No, I need to make it to the city as fast as I
And
can.
they start pushing the barge away from the sides and pulling on these large sails which open up. And then the ship starts to move quite quickly. As it happens, the female goblin looks at the 3 of you. "All right, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what, but if Berg trusts you, I trust you. Not a word, right? This doesn't work if we make a sound. Silence until I say otherwise, right?" She takes her hand and she places it on the mast of the barge, which has been pulled up into place by the goblins. And as she does, the whole section around her hand just starts to become transparent. And it grows up the mast and down onto the deck, ripples across everybody. And in the space of a few seconds, you literally are... It looks as if you are standing about 2 foot above the water, sailing down the water. But you can't see yourself either. It's this very weird out-of-body kind of experience. You're there and you can feel the deck under your feet. You just cannot see a thing.
Wow.
Oh no, I can't even see him.
You
Never
can't
mind.
even see him. However,
Dang it.
Marge can. As you say, wow, you take 2 points damage, Warren. You go, wow! And there's just this thump. In your case, how tall are you?
I'm like 5'5", I think.
5'5". She is there. It's a hit to the solar plexus. Which, yeah. I said, quiet.
Sorry.
As the barge continues down, you see the elves just pouring over that hill, all of them ready with longbows and things. And then they stop and desperately look around to see where the hell you went. The drow immediately rush forward and start looking in bushes and trying to track what's going on. One of the drow turns, and this is anyone who speaks Elvish can hear this. I believe that they're on a ship. And at that point, everyone just starts looking for ships and things, but there isn't a leader at the moment, so there's just this sort of confusion as the drow sort of pace up and down, trying to figure out where this ship could go. Because the river, it runs in both directions, and there are trees and things that line it, but it is a large open plain, so you should be able to see a ship. Yes, Flint.
So the river veers off in a different direction. There's a different current going in.
No, you guys are sailing with the current, but with your sails up as well.
Okay. Is there any kind of like river bend or break that like splits off? Like
No,
ahead?
this is a pretty large river. It's
Okay.
easily 300 or 400 foot in width. So
Ooh, wow.
at the
Okay.
moment, you guys are in the middle of it. Yeah.
Okay. So 150 foot to there. Okay, never mind. No, I'm good. I was originally I was gonna like try to light up like a tinderbox and sort of because I imagine that while I'm doing stuff, it's the stuff I have is invisible as well, and then just sort of throw it off to the bushes or to the side and try to start a small.
Oh, I see.
Fire
Yeah.
resist.
No, they put you out in the middle of the river. It's the
Yeah.
widest.
So 150. I'm not gonna try throwing a torch 150 foot. That's yeah. Splash.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let that be a lesson to your water.
Yeah, exactly. The water's terrified. The elves seem stumped for the moment. You can see they've called for an individual who's wearing these very heavy robes. Another elf, clean shaven with a silver skull cap. He is coming forward, but he's already 300, 400 feet away as your ship moves down the line. He's obviously a spellcaster of some kind because he starts throwing up all sorts of magic and things. But they seem for the moment to be stumped. And that's where we will end this week as the ship continues down the line with a different outcome to what anybody expected, perhaps. Or perhaps this was all part of your grand plan. I don't know. Thank you for watching. Hit that like button if you like the show. Hit the subscribe button if you want to encourage us to make more. You can join our Patreon where you can submit your own broken world and your own NPCs to help join and try and keep this crazy party alive as best as possible. So have a look out for that at patreon.com/broken worlds. Until next time, I do have an announcement to make. We are off air for 2 weeks whilst I am in the UK, unfortunately. So just bear that in mind. There won't be any shows during that 2-week period. So perhaps during that period, you can spend your time crafting a broken world that you can then send through to us. And we can try and incorporate it if the crew ever jump again, or their new lives as Emperor Assassins is probably going to take up a bit of their time. Anyway, till next time, from all of us, thanks for watching.
Sorry, I forgot.
Yes.
Actually, on that slight note, I forgot. I'm starting something exciting this week. I'm actually starting my own Twitch channel.
Oh, there we go.
That's it. So I'm doing stuff.
Name for the Twitch
It's twitch.tv/deadauziegamer, but I will be starting my first videos this week, actually. So
nice. Well, there we go.
wish me luck. I have never done it before, so I can't promise anything, but there we go.
I wish you better luck than I've had, technically. Anyway. All right, from all of us, thanks for watching. Goodbye.
Bye.
That's for the YouTube people. For everyone who's watching live, we are going to carry on for just a brief moment. Although,
No, we're done.
We're done. I'm done. I didn't know where this was going. This was.
It's like we had a plan and the plan went to shit.
Oh, there was. It was. Yeah.
Is that what happened? Is that what we're calling it? Because I got tons of better words for that for what happened.
I'm just a sweet innocent boy, and I'm trying to help everybody.
Yeah. There was a question. Can you do that with comprehend languages? Write it. I think it is only speak and understand, but
Is it?
yeah, it's okay.
Oh.
I don't.
So I know,
why.
you can understand the writing. Okay.
Well, you could probably have written it in Common or in any one of the languages that you wrote. You might not necessarily know how to write it in Goblin if they use a different linguistic system to begin with. So it's a good point. I didn't think.
I'll remember that next time.
So yes, we live and we learn. Thank you for raising that. Right. Any questions for the cast before we say good night, farewell, and adieu to them for this thing? See some unfortunate. No, can't spend 2 weeks without Flint fix. Sorry.
Man.
There we go. You can find him on
I'm
Dead
not going to smash anything with my hammer for 2 weeks.
Yeah, for 2 weeks. For 2 weeks. Sadly. I did think that they were going to split the party, absolutely. When Feloria was on her desperate rampage to save Varian, Valerian? No, not Valerian. Varian. It was a mixture of the two.
Virion.
Yes, Varian. I did
take that away. I'm sorry.
Yeah, thanks, Warren.
Thanks, Warren.
God. Oh.
I didn't want you to die.
I wouldn't though, because that's the thing is, if I could have made it to the city, I could have met back up with you guys, and we could have saved Virion.
Oh.
I lost. No, see, that's the faith I did not have.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like at the end of the day, the plans of mice and men and all that jazz. I mean, it's a fun game. I think we all had our own idea of what was going to happen. Like obviously Flint had his idea of, okay, I want to try and make everyone, tick those boxes. Warren obviously wanted the goblins, and Feloria wanted to help to go and save or find out about Virion. And of course, then we have the old man and the goblins who want to end their suffering. So it's kind of like I think it was a very interesting example of how having a scenario with so many different goals quite literally tugs at the edges of the narrative until eventually it breaks, it explodes, and does 28 points of damage apparently, Guy.
Hey, I'm not the one who didn't duck.
Yeah, I dodged. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I didn't even see it coming because I was in the tent.
Exactly.
It's true,
Exactly,
it's true.
Exactly. Yeah, as some of the comments are saying, hashtag blame Warren for saving Valoria. Yes, it has definitely been interesting. All right, I don't see any other questions coming through. So, guys, thanks for playing. I will see you all in 2 weeks' time. And
2 weeks or 3 weeks? Because if we've got a 2 week break, then
it's 2 week break, and then so it's the Tuesday of the 10th, I think it is. For me, anyway.
Wait, sorry. One more time. What was that date? Tuesday.
No, it's Monday for
The
you.
11th.
I'm in the wrong.
Oh,
side
sorry,
of the
Monday.
world.
Well, that was also wrong. So it's Monday the 11th for the US, and it is Tuesday the 12th for the non for
US
the
people.
So for
Australian,
half of us,
Tokyoian.
Yeah, for the half of
Gotcha.
us, it's Monday. For the other half, it's Tuesday. The 11th.
Yeah.
We'll be back. So anyway,
I'll be there.
lovely. All right, thanks very much, guys. We'll see you around.
Take care.
He doesn't want us here anymore. Bye.
Anyway. All right, so there we go. That was the remarkable twist that happened. I ended it slightly early simply because I felt that we needed a break. There was a lot of stuff that went on, a lot of chaos that happened. If you don't know this, what's happening now for the next sort of 15 minutes or so, I do a recap of what was supposed to happen. Oh dear, and what ended up happening. And that was a turn that I did not anticipate taking. It's always interesting, I find, when characters make decisions that they think are a good idea. Now, not to point fingers or anything. If we look at the 3 different playing styles that we've got going here, we've got Valoria, who's incredibly dedicated to saving Varian. Now, that's part of her backstory, where Varian is this lover of hers, and there's all kinds of interesting things that have gone on with that. But there is a dedication that Valoria has to getting him back. He did die rather tragically, and she wasn't able to save him the first time round. So it is completely and utterly understandable that she would desperately try and save the Varian in this world. It's the closest that she's got to being reunited with her one true love, as far as she's concerned, so I can completely and utterly understand it. If you then look at the motivations of Warren, there's a desperate dedication to trying to save people and do the right thing without any wisdom in terms of how to actually enact it and see the right course of action to take. It's this bizarre childhood, like, well, they've got to save the goblins, so I'll let them know. I'll write a note in Goblin. They wouldn't understand. It is an indirect cause of tremendous amounts of chaos. Now, as the GM, obviously, from my side of it, I'm going, okay, well, these elves arguably don't necessarily read it. But if I was an elvish god and I had this human that I didn't trust anyway, because secretly the elves are plotting to take over the humans eventually, once they've got the whole planet under control, I would report it to my superior. When your superior goes over and summons the regional or the district or camp wizard, who then comes along, and they've got comprehend languages, or probably just speak Goblin anyway. If you are invading the Goblin space, it doesn't matter how arrogant you are, I think you'd still have someone who can speak the language. It becomes apparent that there has been this thing. So to me, it was an act that made sense from the character perspective, but from the GMing perspective, it was like, okay, well, then the very first thing that they would do is just arrest everybody. Valoria has been acting as close as she can to the Volstoy, but she doesn't necessarily know the Volstoy. She's been trying to play the part, so that might work. But the Volstoy, if the Volstoy had a human lover, which is what they all thought he was, that would have spread across the courts like wildfire, and the camp should have known about it. So there was a suspicion upon her already. Then there's this weird mechanical man who doesn't seem to say very much, but is somehow intricately involved in her existence. So there was already confusion. So from my perspective, I could have had that tent completely surrounded by guards, which is probably what would have happened under normal circumstances. They're at war with a very tricky enemy. We've established that the goblins are particularly, they're not very strong, but they're very good with explosives and the like. So it does then encourage the fact that the elves would be arrogant but paranoid to a certain degree, especially if there's someone who looks exactly like the Volstoy. I couldn't have that happen, though, because the players were going to get completely then stuck, and either they were going to go down in a blaze of glory trying to fight their way out, or there was going to have to be an arrest, put them on the train, which was something that I had planned for in the past, but I had set up that the train was going to explode, which I didn't want to do necessarily. So it was a tricky situation to begin with. Then I thought, well, the goblins have been, there is this idea of an explosion. I did see that the goblins had made a trap to lure the drow into those caves in the first place. And as a result, they were preparing for something. So as a comment has come through here saying the goblins making the explosion a little too big was amazing. Did I already have that planned out, or was it on the fly? No, it was definitely on the fly. And the reason why I made it so large was simply because the blast into the wall, into this heavy fence post type of thing, I thought if it was big and explosive, that was great. It would give them an opportunity to run through and run past and the like. Having it being too big is foreshadowing. I'm very interested to see, and this is something that's come across from all three of the characters, is that they're worried about this Arcanon explosion. Now, I ramped it up. I did not want it to just be the train itself that gets destroyed. I decided it's going to have this ripple effect through all of the gates that this train travels on, and it's just going to blow out the entire line. It makes it much more dramatic. Visually, it would be a spectacular thing to watch, this line of gates explode in this long sequence. If I recall, there might have been something in Stargate where there was an infection that spread throughout the entire gate network. If there wasn't, there certainly should have been an episode where that happened. So I thought, that makes it a lot more dramatic. It also, I had hoped, was going to get them to abandon the idea of trying to make contact with Varian. It's a very bad idea. There is no ways that he will pick up that his Feloriat is this Feloria. The Feloriat is a Volstoy. She is in charge of the armies because she's a spectacularly powerful warrior and fighter. This Feloria is not, hence the general being incredibly skeptical when she said they overpowered me. You, one of the greatest warriors our kingdom has just known, were defeated by that boy who's a human on top of it. And you're admitting it to us. So there are some inconsistencies that happened. Again, casting aspersions upon Feloria. So Warren saving her at the end was actually a very good thing, because the general was assassinated. He was the only one. He wasn't the only one who saw that happening, I should say. That the drow saw that interaction taking place. So she would have been in a world of trouble if that had happened. Hence, I decided that it was going to be the fact that they were going to escape using this goblin barge on the river. We worked out where they were on the map before, near the Slicket River. So that was the option. I also wanted to get them out of that situation. They'd been in there for a long time, and they were debating various courses and options and things. Flint was trying to bring some kind of order to the chaos, but it's difficult when you have Feloria being so adamant about a specific course of action, and then Warren being very independent, going off and causing that mayhem. There did have to be repercussions to that mayhem. So they haven't yet worked out how everything is sitting, as someone's pointing out. Now, yes, they are also still exploring this whole idea of shifting. And what should and shouldn't be is still a very interesting kind of space. I was bringing up, and you might have seen my eyes drifting there, I was bringing up the tenets that I have written. Now, I wrote these specifically for the game. Let me just get it up behind me. And they're available on World Anvil. So it's the shifters, and it talks about the shifters and this organization. So there isn't an official organization, but it is a code, it's a structure. Their mandate is never resting, always seeking. We will restore what was lost. Now, they're not talking about they will restore the worlds from the clack door. They're talking about fixing the rifts, the shattered dimensions. That's what they're going to try and do. So that is something that I need to get the guys to know about, but I did not anticipate that again, I have under-anticipated, so this is my fault. I under-anticipated how long we were going to spend on the Goblin world situation. I had banked on maybe 3, maybe 4 episodes. If I'm lucky, I'll get out on 3. Next episode, next thing, they will decide, no, they're going to leave because it's too dangerous. They're not going to go after the Empress or Varian. Both of those options are highly unlikely, however, so it looks as if we're going to be here for a little bit longer. I need to hint and indicate that there is this shifter organization. They've been trying to find out more information about the shifters, and they're going to do that. They will find out more information. So I have, in anticipation of that, I've written up the structure. It's not a huge amount of stuff, but the most important thing was that I've written up the code of the shifters. They have 6 rules, which the players are going to learn about once they finally meet more of these shifters who know more about what's going on. It's going to be very interesting to see what then happens. And how that will then progress the story. Poor old Berg was trying to get out information about the clack clack door, but there was just no opportunity for it to happen. So I can anticipate, and I think with safety, that next episode is going to be Marge, the goblin leader, who I needed a leader, so it became Marge. Why the goblins all have these bizarre, straightforward names, I don't know. But anyway, Marge or Margie is going to interrogate just what the hell is going on. They will convince her. I'm not going to make it this protracted back and forward interrogation that they had to go through with Berg. I thought the way that they convinced Berg that they were who they said they were was absolutely wonderful. It took the better half of an hour for them to do it anyway. And so I'm not going to do that again with Marge. Otherwise it becomes very repetitive, very, yes, okay, fine, we do the same thing. It's absolutely understandable. We can move forward. I don't think anyone would need to go through that again. So once they've convinced Marge of what's going on, then they're going to have to figure out, well, now what are we going to do? Now how are we going to move forward? The bomb that this Arcanon is now traveling on, I took away the idea that the players were going to have to set it. I put it in that it is now happening. I could kind of see where the players were going with it, and I did not want them to then have to place the bomb, because then they wouldn't cause this thing to happen. And I think that what it has done is, and this was an unconscious thing, or at least this wasn't planned, is it has placed a tremendous amount of pressure on the players' characters and on the players to now act. There is a clock ticking. 3 days this thing is going to go off, and by her own actions, Feloria has summoned her love, her true love as far as she's concerned, and he will be on that actual thing. So it's going to be an interesting space that we need to handle quite carefully, because if they decide to stay and try and go after the Empress and that crazy plan of theirs to assassinate the Empress of the Elves whilst impersonating the Volstoy, I'll explore that. I'll let that happen, and we'll see how far it goes. I've got some tricks up my sleeve. I think some shifters might arrive to try and stop them from doing that. So we'll have a look and see what's going on there. Interestingly enough, Netflix has just released a new series called The Umbrella Academy, which I started watching about 3 days ago, I think it came out. And it has a lot to do with time shifting, which is very amusing considering how the Broken Worlds has been going on. I didn't know about it. It's an interesting series. I'm quite enjoying it at the moment. I'm not sure where the hell it's going, because I haven't binge watched. I've been quite good about that. I've been sort of going, right, 1 episode a night is my limit. But it is interesting to see how they're handling it, because time travel and planar travel is always very, very difficult. So far they have had the luxury of not having to actually go to each of the different time dimensions with the characters. They can just sort of foreshadow it or allude to it. Here obviously we will be traveling with the characters to each time that they jump to, so it's already kind of different. So anyway, it's an interesting idea. It's an interesting space to be in. I'm not too worried if I take 4 episodes to get through this. Again, I know I seem to break it down into episodes, but episodes it is. That's what we're looking at. If there's enough support, we'll make it longer than 12 episodes, but 12 episodes was our soft cap. And you know, we're now on episode 6, which, well, this is episode 5, we'll be on episode 6, so we're halfway through. They've certainly learned some information about the clack clack door. They know a lot of information, which I really like as well. That they have picked up on a lot of things which I hadn't thought they had picked up on. So that was really good. And I've just finished reading for the podcast, as a matter of fact, that in the book Complete Guide to Creating Epic Campaigns, I was talking about the benefit of having these discussions with players after the game. I didn't think about having the discussion with the characters in the game as an NPC, but there is a video coming out on Great GM called Mentor NPC and the benefits you get from a Mentor NPC, and that is covered there. So it's interesting to see it in action. I see there's a question here. Is the mage who broke the worlds still alive? Raffinikin, the gnomish mage, she never intended to break the world. That's the important thing. She intended to get the clack door out of the home world of Braxia. That was her intent. It just so happened that the artifact that she constructed ripped the planes into multiple dimensions and shattered the whole thing. So yes, in terms of is she still alive or not, we'll have to wait and see on that one. I do give spoilers out during this period, but not that many spoilers as to the whole thing. So yes, I see another thing there. I know it's a trope in dimensional travel things for the main character to get their lost love from another world, to fall in love with them and become the better person the character knows they can be, but one that I've never really liked. I agree with you, and you know, one of the shows that I will always refer back to, because there's just so many shows that are there, that there is this idea that if a character dies in one dimension and you bring another character from another dimension back into this one, they kind of pick up and carry on. Star Trek Voyager did this. Harry Kim, the one that ends the show, is not the same one that started the show, in terms of he died and a parallel universe Harry Kim was brought through. So it's not the real Kim. And then you ask questions about, well, is it the real one? Is it not the real one? I don't know. As far as the loves of their lives being found out, that was never actually part of, I don't think, anyone's plan. Certainly not for Lauria's plan from the beginning. It certainly wasn't my plan either. I didn't anticipate that that's how strongly she would react to hearing that Varian is alive. I actually had hoped that she would go, oh God, in which case we have to avoid. But there you go. So that is the joy that we have in terms of the games that we play. It is just never predictable as to the outcome. So I thank you all. If there are no other questions coming through about this particular show, I do thank you all for being part of that. Just seeing some other comments coming through. I want to know what was different about the Harry. The Harry? Which Harry? Remind me again. I've gone completely blank on that now. Anyway, so there's one. Raven9 says, I've been with Guy for some time now. I can tell his plot powers. My plot powers? I don't know. But let's see. So it just happened that a wizard was guilty of intense hubris. Yeah, the wizard's... not intense. Oh, Harry Kim. Yes, what happened to the real character? He died. And what was different about the Harry? I don't... Yeah, well, who knows? Who knows indeed. Harry Kim, dear old Harry Kim. I use hubris a lot. I use arrogance a lot, and I have seen it happen firsthand. Coming from South Africa, there is, unfortunately, when you have quite strong racial division, there is definitely this arrogance that creeps in, whether you want it to or not. So it's unfortunate. It is unfortunate. It does happen, and so I use it quite often to allow PCs to get away with stuff. So there we are. Another question is, do you think we'll see a dimensionally traveling gaslighter? Oh, the gaslighters are very interesting, and I was planning on having a Flint-based episode eventually when we get there. Yes, definitely. Whether it's dimensionally traveling gaslighters or whether we get back to Flint's domain, I'm not sure. Bearing in mind we are randomly jumping to the different planes, for now anyway, and that yes, we will definitely see the gaslighters. They're way too interesting not to have them included. So yes, a dirty 20. Yeah, I think it's an expression that I picked up. Who told me about the dirty 20? I've heard dirty 20. I've heard unnatural 20. I like dirty 20 because it implies that the dice was was taunting the player, going, well, you'll get to 20, but not on the dice. You'll have to work for it. So I quite like Dirty 20. Will I keep the train blast? Yes, unless they do anything to disrupt it. There's an evil part of me that really wants to see what happens if I have Feloria seeing the train and seeing Varian step up onto a viewing deck and then watching the whole thing blow up. It's a sick, twisted, evil part of me. I admit it. But how awesome would that be to see poor old Feloria watching her beloved die yet again? Could that be her curse? I don't know. Am I that evil? Yes, I am. Let's see. So yes, it's appearing in a couple of streams, the Dirty 20. I see. I see. I'm not alone in my evilness in terms of tormenting the poor characters. But yes, it does. It certainly does offer an allure. Having said that, if the characters come up with very smart and good ways of stopping the entire thing, the easiest way for them to do it, I would say, would be for them to somehow warn the elves that the train's going to get attacked. That way the train won't head over the canyon. So if they picked up on that hint, I doubt it. Flint was working out how the trap was going to work, and it is when the train crosses the canyon. So if the train doesn't cross the canyon, the trap doesn't go off. But I don't know if they've worked that out or not. We shall have to see. Well, if you are in London, if you are in the UK, in 2 weeks' time, well, next weekend, I suppose, not this one, but the one after that, 2nd of March, we've got the London Horde Con, which is taking place. I'm very excited for that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We've had some people read through the module that we're going to be running. They seem to think that it was A-OK, so I'm pretty cool about that. Yes, final comment. I'm excited for the confusing time when they slip into another dimension and find themselves on a roadway digging or dodging a car. Yes, indeed. It's will we go there? Oh, only the dice will know. So anyway, thank you all for watching, and yes, I see. Well, okay, sure. For the Horde, yes, sadly, I'm in the US. Well, I will be there too. So if the HordeCon here if the HordeCon in London goes well, you can bet your bottom dollar that I'll definitely try and organize one in the US. I am going to Gen Con, obviously, in Indianapolis, but I'm in the US from June, so you never know. Maybe we'll do something there. Let's see what happens. Until next time, however, I see there's a link. Can I share that link? It came through so late. When you try and share links on YouTube, I have to authorize them, and it takes forever to come up on Restream, and then it doesn't authorize. So I'm not sure what's going on. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I wish you and yours the happiest of gaming over the next 2 weeks whilst I'm offline and out of my usual time and space. But yeah, it is. It's all good. And until then, happy gaming.